In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Welcome back, Panther fans. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Tonight's show, Panthers fans divided by Deshaun Watson. If you've been living under a rock and you didn't know, it's the only story really that Panther fans can talk about at this point, because no other stories will matter until this one is resolved. We'll be talking about that tonight. Free agency. We've got some insider reports coming to you on the Deshaun Watson deal, so we know a little bit about how the meeting went and some of the things, the sentiment surrounding Carolina's offer for the Houston Texans and how it was well received by the Houston Texans. So we've got some insider reports coming to you on that. We've got free agency news. The Carolina Panthers are slowly adding and starting to try to build a roster, but you can see there's some hesitancy in that process as they continue to wonder who will win the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. We've got that. No compensatory picks. We'll talk about Scott Fitterer and his role as a GM. Is it growing? Is it waning? Is he getting stronger? Is David Tepper still the ultimate puppet master? All of that and your calls on the Cat Calls line, 252-228-5098. But you know what? Each and every week on the longest running Panthers podcast, I am joined by my co-host, Cody Lashney. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, one of the things that we always say is that we are the therapy session for Panther Nation. This is a stressful time, man. Not only are the Panthers on the cusp of getting one of the most talented players in the NFL, but we also have our division rivals trying to up the price and get in on this. Listen, this is a stressful time. If you're on Twitter, everyone and their mama has a source on someone who has a connection to someone in someone's camp, and they have all the information. But look, regardless, you know what's going to happen. You're going to come and be a part of this podcast, get your therapy session, and we're going to do it with the best Panther fans in all of YouTube. Tony Dunn, Adam Sanders, my man Drew, Anthony Price, ATX19, Brad Dura, Brandon Rose, Carolina M, D'Angelo the Legend, David Screws, DJ Fish Nipples, Panthers Rule, Pipe Slinger, Tim Estes, Kegel Fort, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
I'm going to pin a comment in the chat here, or hopefully I can pin it. No. How do you pin using this? Maybe you can't pin. If you guys can go to the top of the chat for me, you can click on this, take you to a post we got on YouTube where you can vote on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Not the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. We're going to be talking about the ethics of it. And if you feel comfortable with Deshaun Watson coming to Carolina, and we're not just talking about at the price, but at the ethical cost surrounding it. So we've got a lot to talk about tonight, and we want to welcome everybody to the show. It's the longest running Panthers podcast. CK, we're heading into we're in our 10th season, man. Every Tuesday night we're here talking about the Panthers, man. We just don't quit.
Don't quit. And, listen, somehow we find ourselves in these weird quarterback situations every offseason. And I think this is going to be an interesting show because I think we're going to have a very wide variety of opinions, not only on the panel, but also in the chat, as we can already see. And I think this is going to be more divisive than the Cam Newton debate was as well. So this is going to be another one of those circumstances where we're going to have to kind of take a logical approach instead of an emotional one at this point.
Yeah, you got to wonder is how some people describe them as the F-150 Panther fans, but the anti-Cam Newton camp. If Deshaun Watson joins the team, do we revise the history of the Carolina Panthers in your fandom and wipe away all division about the saintliness of Cam Newton? You got to wonder, all of a sudden people are going to be saying, you remember all those tropes about his character and this and that? boy, there's a lot more to go off with this Deshaun Watson story. Greg, the Bat Daddy, my neighborhood nerd. What's up, dude?
Oh,
you're my friendly neighborhood nerd. That's like you're like a little Spider-Man.
I'll take that. No, not little Spider-Man. We'll just say another Spider-Man. There you go.
a stronger reboot.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny, CK. You're talking about thinking through logic and emotion. I think I've been thinking through logic because I've been, as we on this podcast talking about how I just don't feel right about the Deshaun Watson trade, not because of Deshaun Watson, because of just the way it is in the franchise. I'm not gonna lie, man. This week it feels like a spark's been lit. Maybe because Carolina is one of the forefronts. It seems like maybe it's possible, and because Carolina's in the news. When I listen to podcasts, I hear about Carolina, and not in negative ways. So maybe that's what I like about it. I'm not sure, but I'm starting to lean towards maybe this would work if we can get him because it's looking possible. I think it's still a long shot, but it's looking possible.
It felt so improbable at one point. Right. The idea of even before these allegations hit back in the day, it felt back in the day. Like these things have been floating around for 18 months, it feels like at this point.
Right. That's what it feels
especially with the free agents we got too. Like we'll talk about it, but we've picked up some people that it makes me feel better about. Okay, if we have to get rid of this and this and this.
There was a time though when Deshaun Watson was threatening to hold out before these allegations dropped and forcing his way out. And when you went through and talked about the teams that could pull it off, the Carolina Panthers just felt so low on that list. And to think that they're one of the 3 top teams leading the race right now with potentially the strongest offer, now it's just about making Deshaun Watson feel better. Right. Maybe Tepper picked it up and moved it out of the way. Like he asked those massage therapists, hey, zing. Anyway, we'll see. I mean, it just seems like it's been so long of a story that has continued to circle back to the Carolina Panthers. And here we are at the end of it. And maybe it's not a story that's going to end for us. Right. I mean, if he goes to another team, we'll stop talking about Deshaun Watson. But hey, imagine if he comes here. Guess what? We've got 8 years of talking about this dude ahead of us.
If he goes to New Orleans or Atlanta, we ain't gonna stop talking about him. I'll tell you.
No, but listen, man. Listen. I gotta jump in here. The word that I have been using is manifestation. Listen, if you're not a fan of Deshaun, hey, hope that we don't get him. But to all of those that are, that still want Deshaun to be a part of this team, I legitimately believe, regardless of what you may have heard on Twitter, that the Carolina Panthers are still as in this as anyone. Don't lose faith. Don't lose track. It's just nerve-wracking, man. And I kind of alluded to this in my opener. There's so many people on Twitter claiming to have news and sources. It's like you're always trying to sparse through what is and isn't real. So, that's why it's been so stressful. Dude, today I had to get the hell off of Twitter, man, because it's like you read so many different conflicting reports. It's like, dude, what are we doing? People are just making shit up for clout to get clicks and, to get retweets and shares. I mean, I really do think that's, what a lot of these people are doing. So it's hard to really know what's actually going on. The sad part is we're just going to have to wait this one out, man, and wait with bated breath as potentially the biggest trade to ever happen, maybe in the history of the NFL from a quarterback position, is potentially about to go down for Carolina.
Well, I tell you, I've been talking with Natalie Miller. You can find her at Nat_NFL draft. And Natalie Miller has some insider connections when it comes to the NFL and particularly a relationship. Those connections have a relationship with Carolina. And really, it seemed like her takes have not takes, but her kind of illusions about a lot of things when it comes to quarterbacks in this league, particularly with the Carolina Panthers, have been spot on for a while. So I've got I've been talking with her. So we got some insider info coming to you a little later in the show about what Carolina offered and how it was received and how they tried to court Deshaun Watson. I want you to call into the show at 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. You can call in now. We'll play your call on the show tonight. Tell me, do you want Deshaun Watson? What do you think the ethical cost is? The expense worth it? Not only when it comes to the compensation you'd have to offer, but also just kind of the character implications that surround the discussion. 252-228-5098. Weigh in on free agency, what you want to see happen, what you've seen happen. We'd love to showcase your call. Even if you can't call in tonight, you can call in throughout the week and we'll play it on the show. So let's go ahead, Cody, and jump in straight away. Deshaun Watson continues.
Yeah, I do want to do this real quick. Shout out to Malik Zion. Thanks, your brother, for the $5 love bomb. This is Gary Cobb at Fox News. Philly says his insider told him that Deshaun will make an announcement tomorrow that it is Carolina. I have also heard this as well. Tony Dunn, you're right. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Let's jump right into it. The Deshaun Watson saga continues, and lots of things have happened today. So as we said, we know that the Atlanta Falcons are jumping in on this. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like, they really have no wide receiver help, but there were even reports that Deshaun was the one that requested to interview with the Falcons. I don't know. It's really weird. Apparently, they're going to meet tomorrow. They're also going to meet with the Browns tomorrow. Then at one point in the morning, the San Francisco 49ers were interested in talking to the Houston Texans. That ended up being BS. So, I mean, really, it goes back to what I'm saying. Everybody has news. Everybody has updates. And you're kind of just left on your own to sparse through the information and find out what is and isn't true. I wanted to ask this to all three of you guys before we go any further. Tell me I'm wrong here, but does it not feel like the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints are just getting in here to make sure that they up the price as much as possible for Deshaun Watson because they know how badly David Tepper wants Deshaun Watson? Because that's what it feels like to your boy.
It depends on the actual, like what you want to believe, right? If you want to believe that the way that Deshaun is going about this is that he's, that we're just saying we're interested and we'd like to interview him before making an offer, then yes, then there's a potential for a bidding war or something along those lines. However, if it is as they say, which is a significant package was offered prior to the actual interview with him, then I don't think it really mattered who was there and a part of that. I think it was going to always be, I just don't think that has really that much weight involved in that conversation because what I believe is the case is, or could very well be the case. I don't want to say with certainty either way, but is that the Houston Texans allowed the Deshaun Watson to interview with anybody who had a trade they would immediately accept. Right. So if he said, I want them, I'll go to Carolina, then they would say, all right, I accept your trade, right? So I don't think a bidding war would ensue unless it's the other way, which is they're saying, all right, go interview with these people and then tell us which ones you like and we'll create a bidding war between your three top prospects. I don't think that's what Deshaun wants. I think Deshaun wants to choose his location, and having three people bid for him doesn't seem like it's probably what he wants.
Yeah. I actually read that he wasn't even going to interview until there was already a bid in, and there's only 3 teams that have put a bid in. So all the talk about other teams wanting to interview until you have a bid in, they weren't doing it. So
that's what Tony put up on the board there. This is from Diana Rossini. The first step for the Saints, Panthers, and Browns in arranging a meeting with quarterback Deshaun Watson was presenting a trade package to the Texans per multiple league sources. Once Houston approved, only then did they meet. So what that says to me is that the Houston Texans are essentially okay with Deshaun picking from any of those teams that you just saw mentioned there, be it the New Orleans Saints, the Cleveland Browns, or our very own Carolina Panthers. Tony, you want to go on to let's go on to
I want to go ahead and play. Okay. This is the one thing I think that we can be kind of certain. Here's what Ian Rappaport had to say.
A lot of leverage. Deshaun Watson can essentially choose where he is going to go, assuming that the compensation is exactly what the Houston Texans want, and a deal that they are willing to do, and all parties really have to work together on this. So let's get into where Deshaun Watson may go. He met with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints yesterday. He has a meeting with the Cleveland Browns today, and I am also told that he has a meeting with the Atlanta Falcons tomorrow. So that is 4 teams. Those are the 4 teams in it for Deshaun Watson. Now, for the Atlanta Falcons, it would get extremely complicated. Trading Matt Ryan, a huge cap hit. They could do it. You can always do it. But certainly it becomes extremely complicated. But this is near Deshaun Watson's hometown, so at least it is something worth considering. So that is where it stands on Watson. Likely, I'm told, a decision by tomorrow. It should not be that complicated a trade. Nick Caserio has had the offers for some time, and we'll see when and where it is eventually finalized. But
all right, so that's Ian Rappaport, right? That's not Schefter.
Yeah,
that's
Ian Rappaport.
They're both like the same person on a different network. At least though he works for the NFL or for NFL.com. But Ian Rappaport kind of this is like what we can be certain of is that 3 teams have made significant offers: the Saints, the Panthers, and the Browns. And according to James Palmer, the Falcons could have made an offer that would have been maybe negotiable, it sounds like, right? So they met those criteria. But we know that I think the Saints offer is genuine, too.
I agree.
This is a very Saints thing to do. And in fact, to be honest, they have a they got a better team than the Carolina Panthers. So, it's like a cooler city than Charlotte in many ways. Some people would say that. Right, and on top of that, they have Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, a defense on them. We're wondering when that defense gets old. And then we even have heard that Armstead is kind of waiting on his decision a little bit to see what happens with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, and I've also heard reports that all the Saints players are, contacting Deshaun, really trying to get in contact with him. They're trying to do their best pitch to get him over, over to New Orleans. Apparently, Teron Armstead, he's a free agent this year, and he might re-sign with the New Orleans Saints if Deshaun does indeed go to New Orleans. I don't know, man. Listen, I have this on my heart and mind, so I want to say it now. People need to have a little more love for their hometown market. Like I've been, I was on P&P last night. I've done a few other podcasts, just representing the C3 family. And there's this mindset that nobody wants to be in Charlotte. Nobody wants to be in Charlotte. Well, yeah, if everyone in Charlotte says, yeah, you don't want to come to Charlotte, you're kind of giving it a bad name, man. I really do.
No, it's a super nice town. In fact, if you're gonna go, it's gonna be the opposite of the way that Joe Burrow talks about Cincinnati.
Right.
You remember when Joe Burrow was well, there's not really much. It's not like a go out kind of NFL town.
100%.
I think Charlotte is very upscale, clean. It's just, I don't know what you want in a city. It's all kind of what your own personality is. But New Orleans is a dope place. You know what I'm saying? Good food. So it definitely is a cool place. It's definitely a cool place. But I wouldn't say it it precludes. Charlotte's precluded because
I just hear so much from Panther fans that it's like, oh, if you're choosing between Atlanta and New Orleans, it's like, oh, for sure you go there. Like they talk about Charlotte like we're Buffalo or Green Bay or something like that, where it's like cold or whatever. And it's just, I think that when you look at Deshaun playing football at Clemson, being not far from where he grew up, in Georgia, played football at Clemson, and looking at all the things that he went through, dude, that Charlotte lifestyle, that kind of Charlotte vibe, that might be just what the doctor ordered for Deshaun personally. So I don't know. I just don't like it when I hear people that are just so dismissive, like, oh, you would never want to come here. You would never want to come to this team. Like, at a certain point, we have to represent our team a little bit better, I think. But I don't know. That's my diatribe.
I absolutely love Charlotte. I went to college in Charlotte. Love that city, man. I try to get down there every time I can. I haven't in a while, but I love Charlotte. But all I'm saying is, when you're talking about guys on a professional level, you got to remember these guys aren't just coming here to play football. They're coming here to live too. Okay. So just imagine that you're somewhere and you have a choice in vacation of where you want to go. You're going to go to Philadelphia, New Orleans, Los Angeles, Chicago, or Charlotte. Like, of all those cities, would Charlotte be a destination? Is there anything that stands out?
I think it's cooler than Phil. Well, Philly's got a lot of history and stuff like that. But
that's what I'm saying.
I think we would be going to Miami if we were going on vacation.
But
I think
Charlotte's
we would be
not a
going
place
to
pop up and stand out, is what I'm saying.
But there's a
place
list of vacation.
It's great to live there, but people wouldn't know it until they do. That's what I'm saying. People won't know how great Charlotte is till you live there. And that's the problem, you know.
And like, if you're raising a family, like, dude, listen to Greg Olson, listen to Stephon Gilmore, listen to so many people who are like, yeah, if you have a family, if you want to, settle down and have a nice home, dude, Charlotte is a perfect place to do it. And it's the fastest growing city in the Southeast.
Here's one other thing to add to your point and to support you on this, Cody, is like the kind of mindset of living in a city, being where you hang out. Like, you could live in a nice city in Charlotte and hang out in Miami. Like, it ain't that hard if you make $35 million a year to go to Miami or to New Orleans for as long and as many times as you want without it being a pain in the ass to anybody. And then you have a nice, beautiful city that you live in. I live in a small town in Greenville, North Carolina. It's not cool at all. In fact, it would be considered the only thing. There's a reason we're all alcoholics here. It's because there's nothing to do but drink in many ways. We're known for a great party school with beautiful women. It's a cool town, man. It's a cool college town, but it's not nice. It's not crappy either. But my college professor, my thesis advisor, he lived in Toronto and Michigan, like in different big cities in Michigan and stuff like this. Detroit, I think he was there for a little while. Yeah. And he said this is that Greenville is a great place to live, a terrible place to visit. And that is like, your cost of living is cheap. You've got it's like everything is relatively convenient. You've got a good college. You've got a good hospital. You got good schools. It's a relatively safe town in many ways and stuff like this. You don't have insane traffic, and it's cheap. It's fucking dirt cheap, right? And he said go visit New York. Visit New York, but don't kill yourself to live in an 800 square foot apartment in New York, right? So I think that kind of attitude could translate to Charlotte to a certain degree. It's like, hey, it's a beautiful city, beautiful schools. It's got enough money because of the banking system and culture and college. It's like there's a lot of cool stuff. It is certainly not as crime ridden as in New Orleans, where I was in New Orleans once, and I have never seen this. Is in my town, you go past churches and it's like, Jesus is the reason for the season. Jesus is not just here on Sundays, but every day. They put those little slogans out front. I was in New Orleans. I walked past the church. I was walking down the street. They had a big banner that says, Jesus says, don't kill people. Don't murder people. I was like, God dang. Actually, I probably shouldn't have said that. Like, shit. But your murder rate is so big time there that it's not like, hey, we love Jesus. It's like, Jesus says, don't murder people.
So listen, man, again, that was my own little diatribe. I just want people to have some love and respect for the place that their team comes from. Let's go to this insider report because, I mean, look, let's be real. If we're going to have any optimism, it's going to be from reading stuff like this. You want me to read it, Tony? Do you want to read it? What you want?
Go ahead. This is I'll tell you who gave me this. This is from Natalie Miller. Natalie Miller knows a member of a NFL front office who was a former regional scout who has some ties to personnel people in Carolina. Yep. So like this is, and none of this is claiming anything sensationalist or saying that something's going to happen. So the temperature of these reports also is important when I read them and listen to them. So I trust this a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do too. And there's also more than one person out there who's saying this. So it says Carolina felt very good about the meeting they had with Deshaun. They felt like Tepper pretty much promised him the world and voiced support throughout everything. They will do whatever it takes to land him, including giving him the front office and personnel influence he sought in Houston. Carolina has the best package, and the Texans would ultimately prefer that Watson did choose Carolina or just okayed Carolina in general. They covet the 6th pick, and they covet the young players that the Panthers offer. And Tony, this is one of the things that, I believe I said yesterday.
We talked about this directly last night. Like, this just makes sense, right? This just makes sense. Is you talked about this is not this being just a 2-team thing. This is a 3-person dance, right? This is a menage a trois agreement here. Is not only does the agreement have to be between the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans, but also we have Deshaun Watson's personal preferences involved in this. But before any of this begins, you do have to clear, before you can court the daughter in Deshaun Watson, you have to clear it with dad Nick Caserio. And right now is that Carolina, we know this, as you pointed out, it just makes sense, is that 18th pick or 6th pick, if you're thinking 3 first-round picks and one of those is this year's, that right away is a lot more intriguing. And then the other component is that this is a part involving other players too. So what players can you offer and what type of contracts can you offer? Right. And so those are the things. And it seems like Carolina has a lot to offer when it comes to, or is willing to offer a lot for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. And I mean, this kind of goes back to everything that we've been hearing that, and we'll kind of get to this later, but I've been saying this. Guys, I genuinely believe that Matt Rule, especially now after these, past 2 seasons, I believe his power in the organization is far more understated than it was. And I really do think, especially when you look at, free agency, the signings that we've made, I really do think Scott Fitterer has been given the reins a little more on this. And I kind of believe that him and David Tepper are finally working in tandem. It's not a coincidence that pretty much all the moves that we have made in our free agency signings thus far would quite literally be perfect for if Deshaun came here. It allows us to build upon the offensive line. We have some depth on defense now. We have that safety signing. It's like the Carolina Panthers have done everything in their power to show not only Deshaun Watson, but really the entire world that they are in love with Deshaun being a Carolina Panther, and they will stop at nothing to make it happen. And I'm personally of the belief, Tony, I said this last night, this is a pivotal moment in the life of David Tepper, and especially in his career as the owner for the Carolina Panthers. This is one of the biggest transactions that he has ever been a part of that has happened in the NFL in recent memory. I mean, it is absolutely pivotal for them to land Deshaun Watson, and I'm inclined to believe that. So a lot of people are afraid that if we get Deshaun Watson, we're going to end up firing Matt Rule and things are going to go in the tank. Well, what I'm here to tell you is that a franchise quarterback will far outlast a coach that the fan base isn't happy with. You're talking about an investment on a player that you're anticipating to be here for the next, 10 plus years, or at least for that kind of foreseeable future. So, and I even heard a report, Tony, and credit to you. You said last night on our show, hey, just give him a brand new contract as soon as you sign him. And that's something that I read today, that the Panthers,
oh, really?
Yeah,
one of these
Panthers
deals.
The Panthers would be willing.
That's what I would do.
They would be willing to not only give him an extension, but it would help them in the salary cap as well by giving him some more guaranteed up front. So, yeah, I mean, David Tepper will stop at nothing to make sure that Deshaun's a Panther. Deshaun just has to agree to come here.
Well, I asked Natalie, I said, what do you think the offer is? And she said, it really depends on what Watson greenlights. But right now, 3 first-round picks, 2 defensive players plus some other picks could be what they're thinking Watson would be offered here. And then that's just to the Texans. And then what are you offering to Deshaun Watson? Boy, I got to tell you this. She also, the last words of her when my discourse with her was, he is very expensive. And that is the damn truth. Is not only is he expensive in what you're offering to the Houston Texans, but what you have to offer him if you're talking about ultimately kind of conceding to some reports have said that like you get to pick the next coach if the Matt Rule stuff doesn't work out, that you're going to have some of that influence that you had that you call for with the Houston Texans.
So let's talk about this for a moment. Okay. So we're talking about Deshaun Watson's preferred places are going to be places that have stability, have a good roster, and have a bright future, right? Tell me, in what world does telling Deshaun Watson that if it doesn't work out with Matt Rule, I'm going to let you have a say of, that's telling you right there that there is no stability in the coaching, right? And then you're going to be trading away the best players that we have on a roster that somewhat is already lacking in talent in some areas. And then on top of that, you're trading away your future as far as the first round draft picks. I mean, all of that. See, I like I said, I like the idea of Deshaun Watson as a Panther, right? I do. Like, I don't like the idea of spending the amount of assets that we would have to, and then having to grovel to him to come here. You guys forget, what was one of your main criticisms of Matt Rule when he was getting ready to be hired, or when he was hired as a coach to the Carolina Panthers? It was that he went back to the Giants and let them match his offer. Deshaun Watson did not want us. Period. He's declined us multiple times. And then now you're saying, let's go ahead and have him back. He already chose other places. Let's go ahead and bring him over here. And then but we're gonna have this double standard with Matt Rule as opposed to Deshaun Watson.
Well,
right?
Deshaun is also proven, and Matt Rule never was.
Right.
So I think Deshaun can afford to be a little choosier than Matt Rule.
Right. But at the same time, you also want to give him all of this stuff and then tell him you want to bend over backwards to make sure that he has access to he has the ability to choose our front office. We're going to extend you. We don't know what the extent of all this is. My concern right now is if any of these, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if any of these quarterbacks in the draft this year turn out to be as good or better than Deshaun Watson, we've lost this. I don't care how good Deshaun Watson is for us. We lost this. Period. If we trade for him.
When we talk about the expense of this, right, is I think CK's bringing up an important part of this. And I don't like the idea of like, hey, we're just mortgaging the future away. Like, I think that's kind of like a sort of a bankrupt argument. But I think CK brings in an added layer to this, that it's not just the picks at this point. It's the persona of what you're portraying and what you believe in yourself. It is to the point where, like he said, groveling, to the point where we have told this person from before they've played a single snap on this team that they're more important than anything on the team. You want to think about, imagine if my man goes and wins a Super Bowl. You think Aaron Rodgers is bizarre. What the hell will this guy's head turn into? And then when I talk about the cost, Cody, about Deshaun Watson, it's not just players. It's not just the face that you have of groveling to him, but there is an ethical component to this, and that is the Carolina Panthers. Imagine this: is not only are they offering or trying to engage in an unprecedented moment in NFL history, trading for a 26-year-old franchise level quarterback who has displayed zero questions about his NFL play, right? Like everything you have pointed out. Just before this crap unfolded, he was in the same breath as Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Right. Is in the same breath of that. But we've kind of in some ways lost that and forgotten that, because you get Joe Burrow busting onto the scene, and the NFL and the NFL fans are so in the now. I mean, I think this is part of the fantasy culture, is like fantasy football does this. It's just like based on what happened last year, like the whole thing. But I mean, it's like you think back, Watson was just fucking smoking it. But like Cody's saying, is you're going to offer all of this. You're going to give him the keys to the house, and he's still coming off of this whole shitstorm of a issue where 22 claimants have said that he has acted inappropriately. Whether you want to describe this as sexual misconduct, sexual harassment, whatever. I guess what's the next term up from that is like basically predatory, on the verge,
sexually abusive behavior.
Yeah, like that. All of that in a very chauvinistic male, in a world that we just went through the Me Too movement and things like that, and like, oh well, that seems like 2 years ago now. But this is a big discussion here. Is not only are you giving all of that, you're giving it to a person who basically is like, or he's coming in with a lot of stank on him.
Yeah. So I'll go first on this. I want to hear from everyone. Make sure everybody has their voice on this. So listen, and I think I speak for all of us in that no one here condones sexual assault. No one here condones pervy behavior, right. And no one thinks that Deshaun Watson had healthy relationships with any of those massage therapists, right? And I get that this is going to be a complex conversation to have for a long time to come. But when we talk about redemption, I think it's funny how we pick and choose who we extend that to and who we're actually willing to let become a better person and grow as a man. Because we're doing it for Ben Roethlisberger. We've done it for Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had accusations against him, I believe, like right after the Super Bowl, right after he retired or something like that. Tyreek Hill had a bunch of really bad accusations.
Those went back to college, though. Like, the accusation didn't come out till like 15 years later.
No, I thought it was one of the personal trainers that was helping him after he got his neck surgery.
Nah, it was one of them in college. I think it was at Tennessee.
Either way, and then we talk about, Michael Vick. We talk about, Tyreek Hill, who's recently had a bunch of really weird accusations, connected to him. And all those guys are playing football. And, Michael Vick was able to play NFL football again. He's an analyst for Fox. All I'm trying to say is this. No one actually truthfully knows all the details about what happened. Right. And the simple fact of the matter is that there is no way to prove any of it. And that's why there were no criminal charges brought against him. Now, I do want to say, I know that just because people aren't convicted of crimes or just because they don't have charges brought against them, it doesn't always mean that they're innocent. And I do understand that. Looking at it from a purely football perspective, from a purely NFL perspective, if there will be no criminal charges on Deshaun Watson, then the entire NFL is going to look at him like they do now. And that's one of the best football players in the NFL. I do not condone Deshaun's actions that he has made in his past, but I do think, like all of us, he should be afforded the right to change his ways and become a better man should he be given the opportunity to do so. But that's just me, man.
Yeah, I think that I agree with that part. Listen, I'm not in the mind, like, I'm not vehemently against the Deshaun Watson. I'm not vehemently against it at all. Like, I guess I'll be excited to have him, but to also look at it as being this is only a win for us is the only reason that I bring that up. I think that Deshaun Watson should absolutely be given an opportunity to redeem himself, and that's given that he did anything wrong, right? As far as, like you said, there is a reality to the fact that he may not have had healthy relationships. What that may mean may be different, right? We've learned over the past, 5, 6, 7 years, over the past decade, really, that, powerful men in power have a certain level of responsibility when it comes to even consensual, right? And it's a sucky thing, but, heavy is the head that wears the crown, as they say, right? So Deshaun Watson definitely has the ability to grow from this. I don't think that he should be held down. I think that he should be able to move forward. And whether that's with the Panthers or not, I think that it's always going to be a part of the history. It's always going to be a part of the comments. It's going to be something that he's going to have to defend for the rest of his life. We're going to have to defend if he's a Panther for the rest of his career here as a Panther.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, but we'll see.
Yeah. And that's the issue I was talking about whenever I had first discussed it, for the past few weeks about being done with it and not wanting to be here. It's not that I'm saying he's guilty and no matter what the judgment is, of course he deserves redemption and their chance. I just don't want that to cloud around the team. I just don't want to hear about all that stuff. But man, once again, as far as a football player goes, I would love to have him as a Panther too. I've already told the guys at work if he comes to Carolina, that's next jersey I'm buying for sure.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
like
man,
sure.
you're just wait. You can't you can't say
no,
you're worried and concerned about the ethical stuff and say I'm going to go buy his jersey.
Because if he comes here, what can I do? I've got to. I'll support him as a player. If he comes here, there's nothing I can do about it except support him as a player, and I will. He's a good player because I don't believe. I'm not saying he's done anything either way. I don't know. I have no idea. So I'm not putting anything on any of that. I know him as a football player. He's a good football player. If I don't want all that smoke, but if he comes here, it's going to happen, and I'm going to support him. And I want.
I saw
and Tony, can I add? But before you go, can I add to that too? Like I feel like if people, I've been seeing on Twitter, people saying that they're going to quit the Panthers. That this is a bridge too far for them. That if they have a sexual assaulter as their quarterback, they're not going to support the team anymore. And what I've been saying is, if that's really the truth, then you really should have quit the team last season when you knew that David Tepper was going to trade for him, even in spite of all the accusations being out against him. Like, the people to blame for this are not the people that are excited and happy about Deshaun potentially being a Panther. It's the people that are actually making the decisions for the Panthers that your qualm is actually with. We're going to be Panther fans no matter what. Deshaun Watson or no, Cam Newton or no, this Panthers train doesn't stop, man. And again, it's not like he's a convicted murderer or something crazy like that. It's something that he's obviously ashamed of. At least I would hope that he's ashamed of. And I think he should be allowed to move on from it and go on with his career and try and be a better man because of it.
Well, I think you brought up a good point about as Tepper was trying to make this deal back last year when this news was breaking, and maybe even using this news to potentially lessen the cost that it would take to get Deshaun Watson. But this all happened at the owners' meeting last year, and like all of this was breaking, and it just like all of a sudden became a shitstorm so quick. But if it would have maybe happened 2 weeks later, the Carolina Panthers, or 2 weeks earlier, the Carolina Panthers may have already gotten the deal done at that point. It sounds like, what I mean? Like they've been all in the entire time. Right. So I think that's important. I saw this on, this is from a Cleveland TV, local TV station.
I am uncomfortable today. I'd love to stand here and make some grand statement putting down Deshaun Watson. But I know that pro sports is a fantasy, and for the vast majority of people watching the games and myself right now, the disgusting allegations against him are nothing more than another storyline. But there's a whole lot of women who might not even watch football, and to them, abuse has been a very real part of their lives. It's not just a storyline. I can't hide behind a grand jury not indicting Watson either, because I do have some modicum of common sense. All 22 women making allegations against Watson might not be telling the truth, but there's no way all 22 are lying. And sexual abuse is a subject where one is far too many. If the Browns land him, and I still don't think they will, then the Browns should weather that storm from fans. And they will, and they'll be all right with doing it, because whenever he does play, Watson will probably play well. And because this is all about a fantasy, this will probably fade from the public interest. But personally, I hope he doesn't come here. Because while I don't have daughters, I am trying to raise young men not to be pigs. And even though I know the business of football, that's much easier for me to do when the loutish behavior is that of the enemy, not the one we're supposed to root for.
I mean, look, I understand it. I get it. But Tony, what do I call a lot of this stuff, man?
Virtue signaling.
Virtue signaling. And again, like a lot of this is pats on the back. right? And yes, there's a lot of truth to what he's saying, but again, it goes back to what I was saying. It's funny how we pick and choose who is and isn't worthy of redemption, because we don't distribute.
Well, I'm going to push back on this for you. Push back immediately on you for this. Is that, yes, it is funny in this world how we pick and choose winners and losers, those who are canceled, those who aren't. At the same time, it's actually very logical about who is picked and who isn't. And the very reason is that Deshaun Watson has not paid any penance. He has not had any punishment, dude. He got paid all last year. He's weathered all this, and a team is about to trade 3 first-round picks and multiple players, and potentially, like I said, even what I would do is extend him to a longer deal. Now, this is just me if I was the owner and I made that decision to go get him. I don't think that that's necessarily the right thing to do. But no, he's had no punishment, Cody, no financial punishment, no nothing. In fact, is that this is the point, is that if Deshaun Watson was a bubble player, if he was a special teamers, if he was a Jermaine Carter Jr. type level player, this would be a non-issue. They wouldn't even care if he was innocent, guilty, none of that. Just be like, see ya, mug, see ya. What this does show you is that there is a connection between talent and in the NFL, talent and money, right? And like this is at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson makes a lot of money, but these teams are going to make a lot more money off of him. And so they're willing to push aside any claims that they have because it's worth it enough for them to do so. So I don't think Deshaun Watson's gotten a pass at all. In fact, I mean, he's been punished at all. I think he's gotten an entire pass, a complete pass. To the fact is that we're going to just say, hey, guess what? I'm actually to this point where it's just like, it doesn't surprise me. Like, I don't even know if I should be upset anymore about crap that I just expect to happen. Right. So it's like, I almost don't hate the good old boys club. I want to join them at this point because, it's not going to change. It's like at the end of the day, none of this matters. And I'll point out to you this is, first of all, I think Mike Vick's, and I know that dog lovers and pet lovers, you're going to hate this.
Yeah, people.
But I think sexually abusing a human being is worse than killing a dog in my moral and ethical code. I'm sorry. I know that it could say, at the end of the day, I think murdering a person is worse than murdering a dog. So, I mean, like the fact that, Mike Vick went to prison. Now he did, and it was more for the gambling ring and stuff. And that, but like we get all scared and cryy about dogs because we love puppies. You know what I'm saying? But I've had, so that's one thing. Another thing is, it's just hard to compare crimes at times. Was Ben Roethlisberger's looked over because he was white? Was it potentially because it was a different day and era, like where 20 years ago? I mean, that was like almost 20 years ago, it feels like.
Mm-hmm. Make sure, I think it's not.
Yeah,
I don't think
no social media at this point and this hyper focus.
I think there's a multi-layer approach to that. I mean, that's the reality of that one. I think it could be all of those things. It doesn't have to be just one. And I think it definitely has a lot to do with the time of when that took place. It was a much different world than we live in right now.
And also, I want to add to this conversation too, that I want to let you finish just real quick. That Deshaun, something that we have to factor into this. He probably will receive some kind of suspension. No matter
4 games, maybe.
Yeah, so Ben Roethlisberger got suspended 6 games. So if that's precedent, then you could say that if the Panthers trade for Deshaun Watson, that we could essentially, be missing him for 6 games. Me, I'm okay with, to me, that's inevitable. I think that's going to happen no matter what. And yeah, but go ahead, Tony. I didn't want to cut you.
I think this is like guy says this is that there's kind of, we can continue to chase our tail talking about, he said, is he legally guilty? Is he ethically and morally guilty of something? Is this overblown, underblown, right? And he said this is, when did Watson abuse anyone? It was consensual. And there's some things in the way, and Watson's description of this makes it sound a little different than, what some people are latching onto. I don't know. And I am residing. This is, I think, where we can find common ground. And I actually find a lot of common ground with you, Cody, on this position is it doesn't really matter what the fuck we think.
Yeah.
David Tepper and the NFL and these billionaires, they don't give a shit.
That's what.
Yeah.
So
That's why I
like,
said
and
it
that's
becomes-
why we go back to Greg. And we circle back to Greg's like, I'm just buying the jersey. Shit.
Yeah, if he comes,
Like,
here,
if
I'm
we're
gonna
all
support
doing
him.
this, we're all doing this.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, and look, you might be mad, people might get kind of cross with me for saying this, but I'm just saying I'm willing to bet a lot of those people that are very down and they're going to leave the Panthers if we get Deshaun. I'm willing to bet if Deshaun comes here and starts playing like Deshaun Watson and the team starts winning and rolling, how quickly some of those people might forget and might shock you.
We'll
And
be
I'm
interested to see if you abandon your team or if you start to just say, I don't support Deshaun Watson. Like you could be part of the new.
But how do you do that though?
You would like they did with Cam Newton.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess.
I just wonder if those people who are like that were Panthers fans in the Jerry Richardson era, and then continue to be Panthers fans after the Jerry Richardson era. Because
I know, yeah. I mean, is that you got to wonder too? It's just a shit storm, dude.
Yeah.
It's just a shit storm. And the wonderful part, when I say wonderful, the terribly ironic and absolutely horrible part is that while all people debate over or not this guy, how bad this is the Carolina Panthers and 3 other teams are offering, not just the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Saints, the Cleveland Browns, the
All of our
Atlanta.
division rivals.
Everybody's just like, fuck it, we're all giving away our who you want. Like, and that's the crazy part is, and when I come back to what CK was saying, it's like this it's almost like Deshaun Watson is getting a reward.
But he also hasn't.
end of the
I mean,
day
he hasn't been convicted of anything. So I mean, technically, like
Right.
that's why us talking about redemption is a little strange, because if he gets dropped all charges, doesn't get convicted of anything, then he has nothing to be redeemed from, because we weren't there, and as far as we know it,
We'll see how this civil stuff comes out. We'll see how this
It's a
civil
tricky
stuff comes out.
situation.
But there's a lot of people that commit crimes all the time that don't get in trouble for it. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't mean just because nobody heard, does a tree fall in the woods, if there's nobody there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. Just because nobody gets, like, at the end of the day, gets in trouble for something doesn't mean a bad thing occurs. There's a lot of people who drink and drive that don't get DUIs.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah,
And I also, I wanted to, make sure I clarify this too. I'm also not trying to change anyone's opinion. If this is a bridge too far for you, and this is a real issue that's near and dear to your heart, especially if you are a woman who has been assaulted, far be it from me to try and tell you that you shouldn't care about this. That is not my goal. It's not my aim. I don't feel like that's any of our aims. All we're saying is that please don't then take out those, your frustrations against Deshaun and the Panthers on other Panther fans that are excited, who feel like this could be a real turning point into legitimacy for the Carolina Panthers. That's all I ask.
Well, they're going to say, man, and they have a point. You're selling your soul for that. You're selling your soul for the idea of just like wins, and who cares how you get it. I do think this is that
it's a vicious circle.
I would say this is that, like, this happens all the time in all walks of life, like we do. And it's not just the Panthers and football. It's like in all walks of life, money, power, all of this. Like, this shit happens all the time, folks. The world is not just. So if you're a football fan, man, the Patriots are cheaters and they got all these Super Bowls, right? The world is not just. The world is not just. Hey, so I'd like to encourage everybody to subscribe to the show. Give us a thumbs up button. You can call in at 252-228-5098 and weigh in on some of these things. Let's run through some of the free agent signings super quick, Cody, and then we'll get into some of the cat calls.
Yes, sir. So Scott Fitterer has been working, y'all. And this goes back to my idea that Fitterer has a little more power in this team than he previously did. But apparently Fitterer was not in the room when David Tepper and Matt Rule were meeting with Deshaun Watson because he was busy doing work, y'all. Austin Corbett, the Pro Bowl or the Super Bowl winning right guard, is now a Carolina Panther, a 3-year contract, $29.5 million deal. His cap figure for 2022 is only $4.490 million. It jumps to $12 million in 2023, $9 million in 2024. He has $13.6 million guaranteed. And one of the things, if you look at the film on this guy and you look at what this guy does really well, it fits to the type of bravado and the type of offensive line that we want to be built as. We're a run-first football team. The Los Angeles Rams, they would run directly behind this man. He is a people mover. Apparently, he also has the versatility to be able to play guard, to be able to play center. So he has that position versatility that the Panthers so covet. And that's going to be a big deal for us going forward, especially knowing how bad this offensive line was last year. This is a major improvement, one that I like a lot. But then we also brought in Xavier Woods, and the Panthers have not truly put money down on the safety position in a very long time, not since Trey Boston and Eric Reed when we traded for him or signed him rather as a free agent. We were in desperate need of this man. Someone that can play up high, that can play in the box. He played 62% of his snaps at the free safety position. So this is just what the doctor ordered for Carolina. Xavier Woods is a good football player. He has some trouble diagnosing some things, but for the most part, if you put him at free safety and just let him cut off the field, he's a very fast, action-packed player. He flies to the football. And I think that this was a good signing for the Carolina Panthers.
This is the day one of free agency add to positions of need, right? And I don't even want to say that this is good moves by Scott Fitterer. These are necessary moves by Scott Fitterer. You like that Xavier Woods is young still. One of the things I read immediately was how smart he is when some of the coverage is like the reports from Mike Zimmer, who was trying to upgrade that secondary after a down year 2 years ago. And they ultimately lost it. He lost his job this year. So it's not like all of a sudden that's a glowing review. You got a guy who has been a starter for 4 straight years. So there seems to be some availability, right? And that's important. The Austin, oh God, why does his last name escape me just right
Corbett.
now?
Think
Corbett,
of like Sherbet. Think of like Sherbet.
Austin Corbett, I saw this from Schuler Callahan, who's been on the show before. He wrote, John Miller allowed 7 sacks this past season. Austin Corbett has allowed 5 in the past 4 seasons. So, the one thing I'd say this is about this Austin Corbett signing is whether or not we could probably debate about the money, which I don't think is too much money. I'm sorry, $10 million a year for a guard. A starting guard is not like a ridiculous unless they're a bum.
No.
Right.
You have to pay
the one thing I like about the Corbett signing in comparison to past signings at the offensive line is that you got a guy who's had success in the NFL recently. You got a guy that is thought highly of by the team he played on, was a part of a pretty darn good unit for the Rams at times this year that won the Super Bowl. And finally, we're getting a player who isn't entirely just a gamble. Right. I mean, like Cam Irving, he's got he hasn't played a lot, but he can play all these different positions. We think it's like finally we don't got a reclamation project. Right. Yeah. We don't got a player who's coming in off an injury. Is that even you think of who was our former center that we just lost or that is gone this Matt Paradis. Matt Paradis. Matt Paradis was coming off a significant injury in Denver. He was the most highly ranked player because of how he had been playing for the past season and a half, but then he had an injury. So you signed an injured player. You go back to Matt Khalil. Not only had he sucked at times, he was coming off an injury. at least with these guys right here, I haven't heard any funky business about them not being good. And we hope they can be good here. That's finally the good news here.
Can I bring up something about Xavier Woods that I was reading about? It's amazing. Is, going through his stats is pretty good. 108 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, 10 passes defended last year, right? Cody, you said he played 62% of the snaps in the safety position?
At free safety, yep.
At free safety. That means he played 38% of snaps in some other position because he played every defensive snap last year for the Vikings. He played 100% of the snaps. He's an Iron Man. Like, this guy can play.
Well, that's what we need, so these are good things. Mm-hmm. In addition to these guys, the Carolina Panthers today announced they're bringing back Marquise Haynes Jr., right? Didn't we get that news?
Yep.
Yeah. So let's continue with it here. So then Scott Fitterer was not done. He put on his Thanos gauntlet, that Infinity Gauntlet, snapped his fingers and made some more magic happen. Then he brings in that power back that we have all been so desperately waiting for. Deontay Foreman on a 1-year contract, started his career with the Houston Texans, and then last year played for the Tennessee Titans. And when Derrick Henry missed a considerable amount of football, their run game did not fall off a cliff. Deontay Foreman was a damn good running back for the Tennessee Titans. He had a big-time run in that playoff game that they played. I believe it was against the Bengals. It was either the Bills or the Bengals. This guy, he is an exceptional athlete. And by the way, just because I saw Shaqued in the chat room already alluded to it, this man played with Deshaun Watson in Houston, and on his Instagram story, he's already trying to recruit the man here to Carolina. So I think this could potentially be another ace in the hole. But Deshaun Watson, we've had so many discussions about the injury history of Christian McCaffrey and his ability to be able to stay healthy for a full season of football. I think this potentially lightens his load dramatically and gives them the option to do what many Panther fans have been calling for, and that's using Christian McCaffrey in more of a Cooper Kupp kind of a role. Get him on the outside, let him use his agility. Don't get him all banged up in between the tackles. Let him be the most athletic version of himself. And then when you want to run power, Deontay Foreman is the guy for you. Super powerful running back. And then before I pass the mic back to everyone, we also brought back defensive lineman Marquise Haynes. Marquise Haynes is a 2-year deal, $5.5 million. Gives him a chance to compete for starting jobs. So so far, I have been incredibly impressed with Fitterer and how he has opened up cap space and brought in some players at some key positions of need. I'm happy.
I think he's doing what he's supposed to do. I'm not ready to congratulate people for doing what you're supposed to do. But I think some things stick out to me about these deals right away. As someone put it in the chat, I think Ted said this, is none of these deals are insanely big. No. Right? I mean, like Xavier Woods deal is straight. $15 million, 3 years. You're talking about a starting player, you think. $5 million. I mean, if you just average that, $5.25 million a year. That's like less than Ian Thomas makes, right? And I'm pretty sure he's going to play a much bigger role. I had a Titans fan of mine, Chad Moore, reach out immediately to me when the Foreman Simon came out, and that was, and I feel like this is, hold on, I got to take the comment down just for a second so I see it. Deontay Foreman. The reason I have to take that down is because I'm forever going to think of him like that. I'm going to call him the Devontae Freeman, who played for the Atlanta Falcons not too long, a few years ago, who was also a running back. Yeah. But so I will confuse his name for his entire career at Carolina with that guy. You can just expect it. But I'm talking about this guy. My friend reached out and he said, man, you guys got a good back. Like, this is a good signing. You were talking about how Ben McAdoo, more power run scheme. Some people were talking about this. I saw is that this could maybe free up Christian McCaffrey into some different roles, which everybody wants to believe and all of this stuff. Who knows? if that's ever going to happen. The bigger question for me is that while Scott Fitterer is doing what he's supposed to, again, this past draft looks like trash, man. At the end of the year, when it comes to this, is that you got to go out and get this back, and you don't believe Chuba Hubbard is going to be it. It's just right now. This is you got to think Christian McCaffrey, Deontay Foreman, Chuba Hubbard is the depth chart at this point. Marquise Haynes. One other thing on Marquise Haynes straight is that he kind of reminds me of like a Mario Addison story.
That's who he was compared to when we brought him in.
Yeah, a guy who has taken a long time, but could be a strong contributor on a team. Like he hasn't shown he's kind of developed a more balanced game over time, and this is going to be important as we're trying to fill the role of Hassan Reddick and trying to fill this defensive front going forward. And maybe even if Brian Burns were particularly part of a trade package for Deshaun Watson. So this is kind of I think this is going to be this signing needs to work. Marquise Haynes needs to be a happy ending story, right? At this point, a surprise story, a kind of a fan favorite who works out story. If that works, that's going to be very important to our defensive success.
Yeah. And also knowing that we lost Hassan Reddick, and we also didn't mention that Hassan Reddick signed a contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, so he's going back home where he played college football. And then on top of it too, like let's just be real. When you look at the signing of Xavier Woods, and when you look at bringing back Marquise Haynes, it also has the vibe of us potentially, losing, maybe even a Brian Burns, maybe even a Jeremy Chin, if that's what it's going to take to end up getting Deshaun Watson on the football team. So, yeah, this is a big opportunity for Marquise Haynes. If we're going to be losing two of our big-time pass rushers on the edges, then it's going to be time for your Turgros Matos to step up in a big way. And especially now that we've signed Marquise Haynes to a $5.5 million contract, now it's definitely up to him to prove his worth as well, and prove that he can come here and get it done. One more thing I wanted to add to it's Deontay Foreman. Now you're messing me up, Tony.
I know, sorry.
6'1", 236 pounds. At 234 pounds, Foreman ran a pair of 4.45 40s at his 2017 pro day. He didn't clock that time had he clocked that time at the combine, it would have been the fastest of any back over 232 pounds since 2003. His vertical jump was 33 inches. So this is a big time, powerful, agile running back, man, who has a good head of speed about him. I love this signing, man. I think this is a perfect weapon to add to an already existing room of really good weapons. And I'm really liking.
It's gonna be like a better Mike Davis.
Yes, bigger, stronger, faster,
younger, faster, all of those things. Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
252-228-5098. Let's go ahead and jump into the cat calls and start working through your opinions on whether or not Deshaun Watson should come here, what you think of free agency, and do the ethics matter, or do you just recognize the world is full of shit and we're just trying to win a chip? Next, here we go.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey, what's up, fellas? This is Corey calling in. I'm
what's up, Corey?
To last Tuesday's show, and you guys are having the Christian McCaffrey, trade him, don't trade him debate. And honestly, I can't say that I feel too passionate either way. Like, I feel like my opinion on the matter changes as the day goes, but I really am leaning more towards the not training him camp. One thing I will say before I get into it, though, Tony, one of the arguments you made was like, okay, like Robbie Anderson's making this much, Christian's making this much. I'd much rather allocate my funds to Christian McCaffrey than Robbie Anderson. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but that's based off like knowing what we know now, right? So Robbie Anderson, when he signed that deal, even people were saying like it might have been a little bit of an overpay. Like, I don't know. But he was coming off a really good year, coming off a 1,000-yard season with quarterback play that we knew wasn't up to standard. So like, okay, Robbie Anderson can build off that. If he did build off that, right? If he didn't have his career worst year last year and built off it, and we saw improvement, and Robbie Anderson's future with the team was looked like something that was going to stay here, we wouldn't be feeling the way we were feeling about Robbie Anderson's contract. You wouldn't, say that, I want Chris McCaffrey. But obviously that's truth, right? But I'm just saying, like, the fact that Robbie Anderson is underperforming his contract shouldn't be an argument to, keep paying Christian McCaffrey while he, quote unquote, underperforms his contract. I say underperform because he is, but it's not his fault. But, you're not on the field, you're underperforming your contract, but it's not your fault. I just say it shouldn't be, that kind of argument. But I really think I would rather keep Christian McCaffrey than trade him. Obviously, his value is never going to be as high as it is right now unless he, bounces back and becomes a Christian that he is. Then at that point, we wouldn't want to trade him. But I think just genuinely it's because he is overpaid. Not overpaid, but he is paid very, very highly. And yes, teams that win Super Bowls, they don't have high-paid running backs, but they have really good to elite quarterbacks. That's the formula to win Super Bowls and to have continued success. We don't have that. And you can literally watch the games. Everybody talks about it. We see Christian too much. We do this, we do that. But he changes the game so much. Like when he's not playing, y'all, it literally looks like we don't have a chance. At least the first few games when we were 3-0 and we were like looking like we could do something, whatever. Like the offense looked different because we had Christian in the game. Like we could call these plays. When he's not in the game, our offense looks so fucking bare bone. Looks like we can't do anything. I think I'm gonna run out of time, but let me call right back.
This is a great point, Tony. And I mean, I think I kind of speak for me and you when I say that at this point we're like, dude, why would you even try to get rid of Christian McCaffrey? And to be very honest with you, if we trade for Deshaun, I'm just gonna say when we trade for Deshaun. I'm gonna put that positivity out there. When we trade for Deshaun, I truly do not expect to see Christian McCaffrey as a part of that trade package. I think that you look at what David Tepper's thinking, and he sees the potential of having a quarterback,
two top five players in the NFL.
Man. I mean,
that is at their positions.
A quarterback that's a game changer, a running back that is an absolute game changer, and then DJ Moore, who has been 1,000-yard receiver for the past 3 seasons in a row. We have not seen the best out of him as well. I mean, I think that has the recipe to be a nightmare for opposing defenses for a lot of years to come. And
add to that.
Go ahead.
I was to add to that Deshaun Watson and this new addition in Deontay will take a little bit of the wear and tear off of Christian McCaffrey, hoping that we'll do what we talked about, being able to keep him healthy for the rest of the year. I think if you moved Christian McCaffrey to a more like half and half role in the slot, like if you're Deshaun Watson,
he's actually underpaid then.
Do you not salivate at this wide receiver core? Like, I mean, you have Terrace Marshall Jr., you have DJ Moore, you have Christian McCaffrey, who's going to be able to be your security blanket out of the back. And then if you need that real strong power game, you have that new guy, Deontay. I can't even remember his last name. So I think there's value in all of that. And I think that is helpful. And like I said, listen, I'm not going to lie. Like, it gets me excited to the idea that, that Deshaun Watson's coming here, right? If that were to be the case. And I think that makes this a more attractive outlook. I worry. That brings me to another question. And I know we got to do some other segments here. Yeah. How in the hell is the Saints involved in this?
The salary cap's a myth, man. It's a myth.
Like, it makes no damn
They're $9 million over right now, and they're making a legitimate bid.
Well, and then
they'd have to ship out some talent to them. It would be
Michael Thomas.
It would have to be Lattimore.
Today they restructured. Marshawn Lattimore. No, not Marshawn.
Roby.
No. Marcus Davenport.
Bradley.
And then,
Marcus,
and
you know who they? I bet you who they would
$8
want. You know who they
million.
are putting in the deal is that Chauncey. Who's that guy that you guys like? That safety that the Panthers could have had.
Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, he's got multiple names for the.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, say it again.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I remember because that should have been our pick instead of Will Greer.
Yeah, he's probably one of those players that's going to be on that deal too. They figure out a ways, but look, the one thing that the Saints have going for them is the attractiveness of Alvin Kamara, an offensive line that's known to be better than the Carolina Panthers, right? I mean, whether they're going to be able to keep it intact and how long it's going to hold up, and a defense that was a relatively good defense last year. You know, so they're like the team could be closer. That's what you're marketing if you're the Saints is like, hey, man, we add you to this game right here. All of a sudden, we're winning the NFC South. That's what they're going to be trying to sell to him.
Did you guys want to pull up that Baker status? It's not a goodbye. It's a I don't know what the future holds, by the way.
Yeah, he's not good. Yeah. Well, there's too many openings at quarterback. I tell you this is that here's another thing for the Carolina Panthers in this Deshaun Watson discussion. Is like there's too many quarterback needy teams right now.
Right.
The Browns, the Colts, the Panthers, the Saints, the list, the Texans, if this happens. Like the list is just insane of how many teams need a quarterback, to the fact that two other teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Commanders, said, well, look, we ain't getting Deshaun Watson. We need to do something. One went with Trubisky. And the other one went with the Commanders went with Wentz. You know, so yeah, Baker Mayfield. It looks like a lot of people are just kind of believing that they're at a point where Baker Mayfield did a lot for that team, but they've hit like kind of a wall, and he's kind of the part. You know, it's just like he's the Teddy Bridgewater of the equation. You know, he's not the problem, but he ain't the solution either at that point. So, yeah, we want you to call into the show at 252-228-5098. This is Cody when the freaky deeks.
Yeah, so listen, look, one thing I can say is that in life, one of the things that we've learned, people have kinks. And you know what? This podcast...
Talking about Deshaun Watson, I mean...
dude, people have kinks, and we are not here to kink shame anyone, especially all of you who come to this podcast to get shamed by the big papa with the golden voice box himself. Talk to him, CK.
Oh, hello. In a world where there are plenty of QB needy teams, the Carolina Panthers are somehow in the mix for the one and only Deshaun Watson. And what you've done is, with every single Twitter refresh, every single peek at NFL.com, ESPN.com, you've also said, let's go see what YouTube has to offer. And maybe you've come across the Carolina Panthers and then the C3 Panthers podcast, the longest running Carolina Panthers podcast in history. But you haven't hit the like button? You haven't hit that subscribe button? I don't know what you're doing with your life. You're absolutely insane. This is some bullshit. Hit the like button.
Subscriber shame. 193 strong viewers watching the C3 Panthers podcast right now. 100 thumbs up. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe. Hit that notification bell for every single time we go live, throwing these Panther news bombs right at your face. That's what we're here for, man. Good times and bad, all in between. This entire roller coaster ride, the C3 podcast is the ride that you want to be on right with us. So hit them likes, hit those subscribes. Tony Dunn, what's next?
Hey guys, it's Joey. And you were talking about players not wanting to come to Charlotte and put some respect on it. Yeah, I get what Cody's saying, but you've got players that are 18, or like not 18, but like 22, 23 and up, sometimes even younger, right? And you want, and like, you want a city that has a bunch of party stuff, and these guys have egos that are more inflated than a helium balloon about to pop. And they want a city where, like, oh yeah, this is like a famous city, and I'm going to be the king of this awesome party town. That's what they want. But then there's some players like Greg Olson and Luke and Stephon Gilmore who don't want that, and they love places like Charlotte. So it just depends on what player you're talking about. And I get it. Like, all those cities that you mentioned where you would want to go on vacation, which are places like, that Deshaun Watson has been rumored to go to. Cities have an identity. They have their own, like, city culture. Charlotte, we're working on it. And we're not quite there yet, but we're working on it as we get a little bigger. But one thing Charlotte has when it comes to cultures is access to literally almost every other culture out there. You could get great New York food. You could get great, you get some Philadelphia food. You get some Chicago-style pizza.
Transplant city.
You get Szechuan food, tons of Indian food, tons of Mexican food, all that stuff. But yeah, it's kind of interesting when you pair it. It's not that Charlotte's bad, but when you think of NFL players who are young and full of testosterone, Charlotte doesn't really come to mind. Anyway, guys. Wow. That growl.
Out there talking about the culture of Charlotte, the transplant city. But banking capital of the Southeast, right? That's one way to look at it.
I mean, yeah, just about every building up here is named the Bank of America building. There's like at least 3 of them. So
they play in Bank of America Stadium. And you know what? I had never even thought about that for this moment. I probably actually have at some point when David Tepper bought us, but the irony or not serendipity, maybe not irony, but he bought a team that plays in Bank of America Stadium with Bank of America stock. Ultimately, it was Bank of America that he bought at $3 and sold at 30. And you know what? I don't want to. I'm about tired of saying that Tepper is a genius. I'm over this. I'm gonna tell you this: everybody knew to buy the banks if you had a bunch of money at that point. I mean, you even made money off of Ford at that point. Ford was like at $1, and if you could make $1 billion off of Ford, then that don't mean you smart, right? That's still kind of a bad theoretical investment in an argument. But I guess the only thing is this: he bought a bank that didn't go out of business at the time. There were a couple that did go out of business. So I'm sure some people bought those and were like, oh, it's not going to be this one.
And that Bank of America is thriving today. Lord knows they keep on popping up everywhere. But hey, shout out to David Screws for the $5. Says I read a report, don't know how reliable it is, but it says McCaffrey is being traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. Then it states rule says it's Deshaun's backup. No, there's almost no way in hell that the Panthers would be trading for Jimmy Garoppolo and Deshaun Watson and to get rid of McCaffrey. I think part of the reason why you bring Deshaun here is because you're going to be able to pair him.
No, if you lose the Deshaun sweepstakes, it's trade for Gardner Minshew.
Yeah,
that's what it is. It's not Garoppolo. Garoppolo's stopped with the shoulder stuff that's going on. Nobody wants that. Maybe Baker Mayfield, who's also coming off a shoulder injury, though, as well. Those are some names. That's the type of caliber player you could be looking to trade for or go in court. Or it's just say, you know what, screw it. We lost. Let's just draft Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett at 6. And sorry. I mean, we tried our best, but now we got to do something else. I don't know if it's just weight. Man, imagine if it's just like, well, damn, we missed on Deshaun. So Sam Darnold, we love you again.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way it's going to be Sam Darnold. It's either going to be a quarterback that we draft or it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. But hey, no matter what, though, thank you, David Screws for the $5. We certainly appreciate it. We never ask for money, but it's always appreciated. So shout out to the man, David.
Next call.
Hey, C3, it's Noah here.
Hey, what's up,
What's
Noah?
up, Noah?
I hope you do come to the Carolina Panthers. I don't feel like losing to the Saints again. That's just horrible. We
Tell
lost
him,
to them too
Noah.
many times. But I
Tell
feel
him,
like
Noah.
he should get a second chance. I mean, yeah, okay, he did all that other sexual charges and stuff like that. But I think he deserves a second chance. And I pray that we get him either by tomorrow. Hopefully
Yeah.
we get him and we just become a better team and all. I'm pinning my faith in Matt Rule and Dick Pepper again. I feel like if we get them, we'll probably be able to get contenders for the Super Bowl or division. Have a nice day. Keep following.
No, dude, can I vote for Noah for president yet? Like, can I just do that? Can I write him in?
I know. He's
Can
the
I write him
president
in?
of our podcast. I'm like, I'm ready to just say this. It's like, why don't you, Noah, you should just do the podcast for us.
Dude,
We should just pay him.
Everything that Noah ever says on our cat calls line, I love it. I agree with it.
Yeah.
And it has reason and logic behind it. And by the way, I'm going to use Noah to kind of go off on that a little bit. I really do not understand the fans that want the Panthers to lose out on this. If it's because of the accusations, fine, that's one thing. But if you're worried about the draft capital and all that it's going to take to get them, the Carolina Panthers have had a top 10 pick in the past, 3 drafts? And what has that amounted to? 5
Possibly
wins
Deshaun
seasons.
Watson.
But 5 wins
Yeah.
seasons for us.
Deshaun
But that's
Watson.
also because we didn't have that franchise quarterback under center. That was such a big part of it too. And I mean, I really, knowing that the New Orleans Saints are our biggest rival, the biggest roadblock in us getting Deshaun Watson, the fact that it's one of our most hated division rivals, the Carolina Panthers cannot lose this, man. This is so important. This really is something that will be a make or break moment for the Carolina Panthers. And I'm sorry, but if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you're not a relevant football team.
Dan Patrick said it the other day, and he says it all the time. It's like, it just doesn't matter until you have a quarterback. Nothing matters until you have a quarterback. Is that, yes, is there some circuitous, bizarre way that you could become successful without having the guy, like the iconic quarterback? Yes, it happens. But until you have a quarterback you believe in, you can't build. Right? Like, what are you building for at that point? That's one thing. The other thing is that drives me, first, I would say a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. Right? So we could talk about, like, look at all these other teams that have accumulated all these draft picks over the last 20 years. And really, where are they at? Is like the Cleveland Browns. It took them 30 years to get to that point, and they've been accumulating picks for the last 15 years.
And they still don't have their quarterback. They're gonna
right, and they're still ready.
They're
They're still having to trade for it. On top of that, the Miami Dolphins, again, another team that has just been bringing it. It's like they've been habitually tanking. The Houston Texans, in some ways, were kind of like that for a minute. It felt like before Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and stuff came along. So I think this is the very fact that Deshaun Watson is a known commodity is very important. The other thing that I do, and this kind of is, I don't know. I mean, like I get the idea. I don't like when say is no player is worth that. I don't like that statement either. It's like, oh, I just want. It's like if it was 1 pick less, I would do it. But this 1 pick, this 6th-round pick, is going to stop me from getting Deshaun Watson. That's kind of crazy to me. Is that like fine? It's like, I mean, if it's 2 first-round picks or 3, does it really matter if it works? And if it fails, guess what? It's like you're going to have to find a way around it anyway. So you like just don't quit. The last thing I want to point out to this is that there are some people. So Cody, you make the argument that just because you don't have a 1st-round pick doesn't mean that you can't negotiate the draft.
Right.
And make your team better down the road. So like somebody would say like, well, the kind of counter argument that people like to make about Matt Rule and Scott Fitterer to that is, We don't really think they're good drafters, though. So, like, in the end, like, you're going to give Matt Rule all of this. You're going to hope that he's going to really execute. Him and Scott Fitterer are going to execute deep in the draft and really make that. You're talking about a guy who drafted a long snapper. You're talking about a guy who and they'll give you these examples. Fair argument in a vacuum. But I would say, you're going to let Matt Rule pick the first round pick? If you don't believe him to pick the fourth round pick, why the hell are you going to let him to pick the next 3 first rounds? Like, you might as well just have Deshaun Watson, who we know is good.
Well, but also, do you remember how after Matt Rule's first season, even after the losses and some of the things that happened, none of us were willing to sell the boat on Matt Rule. We were going to give him another year. And to be honest, I don't think that we have a large enough sample size to be able to say that Scott Fitterer can't be able to do the kind of drafting necessary to better the football team. By the way, I'm going to just say some names here. Brady Christensen, Deontay Brown, Tommy Tremble. I mean, if you have any hope that any of those guys are going to be good football players going forward, all those guys were drafted between rounds 3 and 7. How about Davion Nixon, who we expect a lot of big stuff?
How about Chuba Hubbard? Forward. How about, I mean, we could give you just as many bad
But again, Chuba Hubbard, Chuba was not terrible.
Bum.
No, he's not a bum either. He had some good runs. He also had some drops. He's not a complete running back. My point is this. When I look at what he's done in free agency, and when I look at some of the draft picks that we've already made, I don't believe that we have a large enough sample size to say Fitterer couldn't do it. But I also think that, I'm hopeful that the players that he did draft are going to turn out to be good players. I'll pass the mic after saying this. One of the things that people continuously forget is that what we're losing in draft capital, I promise you, we are making up in free agency capital. If you have a legitimate franchise quarterback that can actually
people want to come play there.
Yes, people are going to want
No
to
one wants to go
here.
play for Carson Wentz.
Right that's
now.
My point,
no one wants to go play for Daniel Jones. You're right about that. And the other thing is that all those draft picks are just future potential.
Yes.
And they can be home runs, they can be singles, they can be doubles, and they can be misses. But what you really want is a guy who is a top player, right? Is like, think about this. Even with Christian McCaffrey, the question was he going to be able to be durable enough in the NFL? Was he bigger? All of this. And then he came out and he kind of proved those people wrong. And now actually we're dealing with some of those questions again, maybe. But it's all potential. CJ Henderson is potential until he becomes a player. All of these guys, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Daniel Jones, Mitch Trubisky, are all just draft. We just talk highly about them in the draft until they fucking do something. And right now, you just know this is that Malik Willis may be great. He may be terrible. Kenny Pickett may be great. He may be terrible. He may be average. He may be Teddy Bridgewater. We don't know. But we know that Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. He's proved it. So, it's like, that's what you want. It's the prize. It's the gem. It's like you finding the Easter egg. Yeah, you could say this. We're on an Easter egg hunt, and there's an Easter egg that's got $100 in it. And then all the other ones got quarters in it. And you could be like, you could be like, well, you could just go get all of those quarters. I want the $100 Easter egg. That's what I want.
I mean, that's essentially the point, man. If you have that game-changing franchise quarterback that can throw the football accurately, he can run, he's tough as hell, people are going to want to be a Carolina Panther. They just are. So, I mean,
all right. Let's go to the next call.
Second part of Corey's call. The point I was making was, okay, we see that these Super Bowl teams, these great teams, they don't have a history of, paying running backs and having superstar running backs that they're allocating all these funds to. But they do have great quarterbacks. They do have all these other, things that we don't necessarily have right now. Next year, we're either going to have a quarterback that, has very little talent or very, very little experience. It's either going to be Sam Darnold or a rookie or like Gardner Minshew or somebody like that, right? Where they're either going to be very not that talented or very inexperienced. Either one of those kinds of quarterbacks would benefit greatly from having Christian McCaffrey on the field. And just the absence of him without it, maybe our offense would look different, knowing going in next season if we trade him and knowing that we don't have him and, you know, we don't build everything around him. But, like, literally when he's not on the field, it doesn't even look like – we don't look like an NFL team sometimes, yo. Like, it looks like we have no fucking chance. It's like it's because we're so inefficient at quarterback and offensive line and other important positions. Christian, he covers up so much of that. But, I mean, honestly, the biggest reason is because – not the biggest reason, but a huge reason is because it would mostly just be like a salary cap thing. I don't think any like the idea that the Panthers want to trade Christian for a first and another, you know, starter. It's like, okay, great, you can want that. We're not getting a first for Christian McCaffrey, y'all, unless it's a low like a from the Bengals or like the Chiefs or somewhere. They're getting their 28, 29 pick. We're not getting the first round pick for Christian McCaffrey. It's just not going to happen. I don't think it's realistic at all. So really, it would just be a salary money dump thing where money isn't our biggest issue right now. Like, okay, we're restructuring, getting some more cap space, but we just need younger talent. We need more draft picks. We don't need to go out of free agency and sign players to bigger deals because I don't really feel like we're ready to win right now. You know, I feel like I was kind of going all over the place with that take, but that's my take, man. I'm more in the keep Christian McCaffrey camp, but I'm not 100% opposed to trading him either because I do realize that how the last 2 years have ended. We need to get something back for him if he's not going to be on the field. But I'm leaning more towards keeping him. But anyway, I appreciate all the work y'all do, man. All the content y'all do, man. Keep on, man. Appreciate it.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's kind of the crux of what a lot of the argument for Christian McCaffrey has been at this point. At least this is, I think Christian McCaffrey is an elite player in the NFL, so I like having him on my team. Cody has kind of suggested that like positional value, you don't just sink that money into that, regardless of the player. You know, is it's just not as valuable as a left tackle. As a shutdown corner potentially or quarterback. And I think the very point of this is that we're sitting here debating whether or not we should trade Christian McCaffrey away. And if you could get what you could get, would it be worth it? This and that. But we see what the value of a quarterback like Deshaun Watson is. I mean, he's commanding 3 firsts. You know, so like that's kind of, I think, what Cody has suggested a lot about this. It's not Christian McCaffrey, the player. It's just the team building process that you invested in that. And a lot of it goes back to context. Christian McCaffrey getting paid, rewarded for 2 great seasons. And running backs, they do this to running backs. And I've seen some cool studies about this, is like how big contracts have been rewards to running backs. Todd Gurley, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, not for what they're going to do in the future, but what they did for you at the moment. And so that's kind of just panning out. This is more about a team building thing. And right now, you know what, you got him, and we don't think he's deteriorating entirely. If he could put like just a healthy season together, him and Watson could be magical, dude.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Next call.
What's up, Panther Nation? It's Anthony. I've called in a couple times.
What's up, Anthony? Good name.
Mainly, I just want to call in today to say 2 things. One, after seeing the Russell Wilson trade, I hope the Panthers end up pulling the trigger for Deshaun Watson. Just because I don't know, you're probably not going to be in contention for anything next year. So I mean, it's better to get a start on the future now. Seeing what they gave up for Russ, I mean, I'm definitely willing to give that up. The only player I generally don't want to trade, there's 2 players, actually 3. I'd say DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, and Brian Burns. And the other thing I wanted to call in and say was, hope I could get on the podcast sometime. I actually was texting Derek Brown on Instagram, going back and forth, and I thought that was cool. So,
well, what were you talking about?
What you guys do, keep pounding.
Man.
Tell them how we can get on the podcast.
Yeah, man. Listen, to any of you watching this, you have an opportunity to come on the podcast, and it's every Friday at 7 p.m. called the Friday Free for All, right here on the C3 Panthers podcast YouTube page. I always post the link to join the StreamYard in the description and in the chat box. So if you guys want to come on and talk about the Panthers and talk about where your head's at, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, you're allowed to do so, man. Every Friday at 7 p.m., come hang out, man. We've got a bunch of usuals that come in, and we have a fantastic discussion, man. So please check those out. And we expect to see you, man. It's going to be a good time.
Let's quickly go around the horn. Ooh, and I'll start with the player you don't want to see part of a trade for Deshaun Watson. My number one player on the list is J.C. Horn. And I know that we've received so little of him, just a few games, and a lot of this is just me banking on him becoming what people say he can become and him looking physically the part and like he belonged in the NFL right away. The idea of having a shutdown corner, if that could work out, J.C. Horn, as long as he's not injury riddled, is such a game changer and such a blessing for defenses in a way that you could fill in around him. I think number one for me is him. And this is going to be an unpopular position here. Number two, even more so than Jeremy Chin, is Derek Brown for me. And I just want to keep the big monster in the middle for his rookie contract. You know, we could get him for 5 years, you know, and then we just say this is we're not going to make that same mistake we did with KK and Star. We don't need to pay you a second. We'll just get the next Derek Brown on his rookie contract next after that. But I'm just like, hey, let's ride this full 5 years out. You got a top 10 pick, basically. JC, look, I mean, the guys we're talking about are all top 10 picks for the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey, JC Horn, Derek Brown. So those are that. All right, next, who you want? Who is protected, but who would you least want to be part of that trade?
Yeah. So real quick, Stevie the Bull says, and Gary Cobb says Deshaun's going to the Panthers. He says someone close to Deshaun told him. Again, everyone knows someone close to the situation, man. So right now I'm on Twitter. Apparently Aaron Wilson went on a Twitter space and says that that even the Panthers felt like they came out of the room and that Deshaun was going to the Saints. That was all really, really stupid. It's like you're hearing so many conflicting reports. We're just going to have to find out when we find out, and I do think that will be tomorrow. By the way, I'm doing my best to block these assholes in the chat that are coming in with these fucking terrible names. I'm doing my best to get rid of them as fast as I possibly can.
I haven't been paying attention.
It's terrible, dude. Back to your original question. If I'm picking one player that is absolutely not on the trade block, it's J.C. Horn. I mean, how valuable is a shutdown corner in today's pass-happy NFL? I mean, we're throwing the ball more than we ever have. So with someone like J.C. Horn, who we have not seen the best of, man, I really do think that J.C. Horn is just going to be very important going forward in the future. I also agree with you about Derek Brown, Tony. So I'll say this. I think Derek Brown, if I'm being honest, is probably even more important than Brian Burns because of his ability to two-gap, his ability to eat up space and, take on two players. That allows for one-on-one matchups. And I do think that's important. My only problem with that, though, and this is my problem with Derek Brown being drafted where he was drafted, is that those big-time run stuff in defensive tackles, you can kind of find those in the back end of the first, later into the second and third.
Agreed.
Guys, guys that...
But we picked them, though. You can do that, but we didn't. We picked him, so we might as well keep him.
Yeah.
Are we talking defense only, or just player in general?
Dude, people do this, dude.
I don't know. And see, I'm hoping that it blocks them all, man. Here's what I'm gonna do. I might add some more fucking moderators.
Please. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, are we talking defense only, or just any players?
No, just any player. Like, who's the one player you just would not want to see part of the Deshaun Watson deal. Like, I mean, not that you need to protect, like you not like I won't talk about it, but just like, hey, man, I wish it wasn't that guy.
Okay. Well, for me, then in that case, it's DJ Moore. Like
Okay.
if you include him in the trade and get Deshaun Watson here, and DJ Moore's gone, what does he have? I mean, I feel like that's probably more important than Christian McCaffrey, to be truly honest with you, because was Robbie Anderson going to be his number one target? If
Right.
that happened, that's almost irreplaceable. And I think him and DJ
Yeah,
Moore
like it's
together would be a
almost like all of a sudden the
combination.
Panthers offense would just decline without DJ Moore. We're sitting here going, man, who's our guy?
Right.
And some people even wonder if DJ Moore is the guy. I mean, ain't no DeAndre Hopkins by any means at this point. It doesn't feel like so. But yeah, it's like, man, it's like, what do you do then? You can't afford to go pay. You're going to kind of put him in the same position, in the same space that we had with Cam Newton, which was like, hey, we got Cam Newton and Philly Brown, Britton Burson. Good luck.
Right,
and then
right.
there'll just be this whole debate about not having any talent around him. CK, any player that you would hang your head on, just be sad, moment of silence for if was part of the trade?
I think it would be, it just would be so bittersweet to see Deshaun Watson play here without us seeing what Christian McCaffrey could be with an actual fucking good quarterback.
Yeah.
I get the value of getting rid of his contract, but geez Louise, man, like being able to have those two in the same offense. I mean, I just cannot imagine like what despair I would feel if I could not see them. If we're gonna have him, like think about that disservice to Christian McCaffrey. His first year, the only year he had a healthy, an actual starting QB that got us to the playoffs was his rookie year, and he had to basically play second fiddle to Jonathan Stewart that year. He still did a good job, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't like able to come in and be the game changer that he's known to be. And then it's been Kyle Allen, it's been Teddy Bridgewater, it's been every other person that you can think of that's not a really good QB. And then now we're possibly getting Deshaun Watson and possibly CMC's on the trade block. It's got to be CMC in my opinion.
Imagine if we had CMC, Watson, and Moore. Imagine if somehow or another we were able to keep that trio together. How lethal
I think they're
that
going
would be.
to. I think they have to.
How
I think
lethal could that be?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's the excitement that Cody's been talking about for a year and a half now at this point.
Yep.
And let's just go ahead and say this is that if this works out, I told my man this last night. We did a show, a stream last night on the free agency and the news of just kind of keeping up to date on what was going on with Watson at Panthers meeting. And I told Cody, I said, man, if this Watson joint goes down, you think you got a big head now? People talk about your big head now. This mug's head, we won't even be able to be on the screen. It'll just be like this in this show. And we'll all be like, we'll all be trying to just be like trying to get a little space as his head swells up the size of that hot air balloon that Antonio Brown took the Raiders training camp that year.
Guys, you have to understand, man. This is like the culmination of two of my football worlds.
But you've been talking about it, dude, forever. Like you have been saying this from the very first moment.
I know, man.
You haven't backed off. You haven't backed off for a second. I mean, it is even more so than your Trevor Lawrence kick.
I mean, dude, Deshaun Watson was responsible for two of the most fun seasons I have ever had watching college football. Those 2015 and 2016 Clemson Tiger football teams. I mean, that was some of the most fun that I've ever had watching football. Such fond memories of that. And by the way, in that same year, my Panthers went to the Super Bowl and lost, and my Clemson Tigers went to the national championship and lost to Alabama in 2015, man. So it's like, like all these different things that were kind of happening at and around the same time are coming back around, man. And I'm if this can happen for us, dude, I'm over the moon, man. And yes, I'm going to be right along with Greg, rocking my number 4 jersey as soon as that thing goes on sale, man.
Next call.
What's up, C3? It's Noah here. And you know something? I actually think that we should do the trade scenario 1. I think that I agree with Tony. I mean, like, our defense wasn't what we was playing. It wasn't good, like how it was like years back stuff. I think that Brian Burns could get replaced with another player. But only thing that I want to say is kind of expensive. I mean, even though we know what we did is a quarterback for it, I think we should go in on our O-line with it, I think. Tell me what y'all think. This is Noah here, and have a nice day. Keep fighting.
He's referencing a show we did last week, trade scenarios for Deshaun Watson, and he's referencing this one here. Let's take this comment down just for a half second, and that is, take this down too. Got crap everywhere. What was the trade scenario? You tell me. You made it up.
This one was Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, CJ Henderson. And again, when I did this, I was on this whole kick that we would try and keep our draft the same this year. We know that's not going to happen. The Texans want that number 6 pick. But I was essentially saying 2023 first, 2024 first, and 2025 first. That way it keeps all the rest of our rounds intact. But yeah, what exactly did you ask me at the end? I know he said something about offensive line.
Here, let me just play the back end of the call.
Tell me what y'all think. We should go in on our O-line with it, I think. It replaced with another player. But only thing that I want to say is kind of expensive. I mean, even though we know what we did is a quarterback for it, I think we should go in on our O-line with it, I think. Tell me what y'all think. This is Noah here, and have a nice day. Keep fighting.
Yeah, no, and so this is probably before the Panthers signed Austin Corbett.
Before Larry Tunsil just restructured his contract, so he will not be part of this deal. That was kind of like, man, if you could bring Watson and Tunsil, people wanted to see that.
Awesome. Hey, but yet again, Noah's on the right track, man. He's like, hey, if we're gonna get Deshaun, we might as well get a nice offensive lineman to go right along with him. So, hey, once again, man, Noah's batting 1,000.
All right, let's keep going with the calls.
Yo, guys, what up? It's Connor.
Connor, what's up, bro?
Call. And so I got a Deshaun Watson trade. I actually DM'd you in Discord, Cody, if you want to see the graphic. But anyway, here's the trade. So we received Deshaun Watson, of course, and then the Texans received Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold, Derek Brown, this year's first, and next year's second. Let me know what you guys think of this trade.
Well, let's play it. I'm going to play it back one more time.
If you want to see the graphic. But anyway, here's the trade. So we received Deshaun Watson, of course, and then the Texans received Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold, Derek Brown, this year's first, and next year's second. Let me know what you guys
it's going to be more than that, bud.
Trade. And again, feel free to put the graphic up on in the podcast. Besides that, I'm confident.
If you could grab that, Cody, I don't know if you can. You're able to get that off of Discord. Is that right now? Is it seems like the Texans are interested in accumulating first round draft picks even more so than players,
right?
And I think that the players, they're asking for players, but like the requisite offer is 3 first round draft picks and right. And so what Natalie Miller was telling me, 3 first round draft picks, 2 players, and potentially like a 6th round pick or a 5th round pick next year or something. So Houston, if they're going to get rid of, in some ways, if they're going to get rid of Deshaun Watson, having draft capital is more important than having players for them, because they really are going to be thinking, should we trade up next year to get our quarterback? Like they're going to be entering that race of, do we have our guy? And Davis Mills likely not being the guy they really, really believe that they're going to be planning on, they're going to have to replace. And I don't know if there's a guy in this draft, if they're just going to take Malik Willis and say, all right, then we're going to. It would almost seem like that they would pick an offensive lineman at 6 this year with the idea of having 3 first-round picks or 2 more in theirs next year that they can just trade up and get their quarterback, like the top prospect quarterback. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, so I wasn't able to find the trade image that Connor made, but I appreciate the effort, bro. And I think that you're on the right track, and that the Houston Texans want our young players. So I do think that that's a given, but I think part of the reason why the Panthers want to trade for Deshaun is because they believe that they have the offensive weapons to put around him. Guys like Christian McCaffrey, guys like Robbie Anderson. So I think those names are more likely to be defensive players rather than offensive players. But yeah, I like I love the idea of him trying to continue to keep our draft relatively the same as possible. Yeah. So
right.
Yeah, man, Connor's killing it, man.
Can I ask a question? So if 3 first rounders was like the first prerequisite and after that, like if you're looking at Christian McCaffrey, his value as a first round pick and then some, if you were to include Christian McCaffrey in that trade, does that give you the possibility to make it 2 first rounders with Christian McCaffrey and then some, or maybe 3 first rounders and Christian McCaffrey and that's it? Because quite honestly, I love Christian McCaffrey, but if we're already giving up 3 first rounders, we're prepared to do that, and the only thing else we have to give up is CMC.
I think we think he's worth a first rounder. He is worth a first rounder, but nobody will give you that money for him. It's like a great baseball card. It's like you say it's worth this amount of money, and it's worth that amount of money in the book. But unless some jerk is going to give you that top price for it, you ain't getting it. And I think that basically people can lowball you on Christian McCaffrey. I mean, they're not going to be. So whatever you're taking him to a pawn shop. So you need the money more than they need Christian McCaffrey. And I think that that's the problem here, is that they will just say, you know what, that they would probably say, you know what, if I was in your shoes, Greg, I would say the same crap, but you're the one trying to sell me shit.
I get it.
So, all right, let's go to the next call. No, tell me if I repeated this one.
What's up, C3? It's Noah here. And you know something? I actually think that we should do the trade scenario 1.
Yeah, we heard that. All right, next call.
Guys, what up? It's Connor. I'm back here again with another call. And so I got a Deshaun Watson trade. I actually DM'd you in Discord. Cody, if
we heard.
Yeah, we heard this.
But anyway,
all right.
Yo, guys, what up? It's Connor. I'm back here with another call. And so I just got a little quick trade package for Deshaun Watson. So, of course, we receive Watson. And then we give up CMC, Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold,
I think that's
Derek
the same.
Brown,
Basically, same call.
Next year's first. Let me know what you guys think of this besides that.
All right, we're going to keep powering through. Man, thank you, Connor and Noah, the next guard of the C3 Panthers podcast right away. These guys are all over it. Keep contributing that. We want to hear what you think now. Actually, what what do they do when you get the trade offer? You can, in the thing, you can give them a counter offer. Mm-hmm. Connor, here's my counter offer to you: is you got to come up with a trade scenario now where that there's 3 first round picks involved, and that they're interested in young defensive players potentially first and contractually, and also thinking about what the Carolina Panthers have added at this point to their team, that we got a little bit more information than we did a week ago. Next call.
Hey, fellas, how's it going? It's Jason from Colorado.
What's up, Jason?
I'm pretty sad to be making this call, but it pretty much looks like this is going to be the last one that I make because, I've been kind of trying to justify different reasons for sticking around. And, I was talking to Cody on the...
First, there's no sense in this world, no matter how bad it is. Don't end it, bro. Don't end it. Keep your chin up. All right, but I don't think that's what he was suggesting. Anyway.
Discord over the weekend. And, he brought up the point that if you really are, committed to the idea that these kind of allegations should be taken seriously with Deshaun Watson and that, whatnot, that the decision has already been made in the front office that they don't care about all of that that's gone on. That as long as there was no legal trouble, that every option is on the table and that they value winning more than character. And, I was making excuses that if there was, if they hadn't actually pulled the trigger on a deal, that was somehow different than showing their interest and whatnot. But, I've come to the realization that this is it. I mean, they've already sold out their character, their soul, everything that made it different for me as a fan. So it's been real. I appreciate all you guys' hard work and everything. I wanted to give a shout out to my boys Tim Tizzy and Tar Heel Newton and Sports Nut. We had a lot of really fun conversations, made some good friends, but I think this is where we part ways. So one last time, keep pounding, y'all.
Keep pounding, man.
Kind of a sad call right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
do you have something you want to say? Because I was like,
no, you go ahead.
I mean, so one, I think this is Mile High Panther in the Discord. And by the way, join the Discord, man. We have a thriving community in our Discord. It's really, really good community. People post a bunch of updates in there. And listen, man. First, I'll say this to you: it isn't official yet. So at least there's that. There's some hope that you don't have to quit your team if it doesn't happen. But again, to your point, it's like I was saying, the fact that David Tepper even wants Deshaun Watson, if you believe him, if you believe Deshaun to be the person that he is accused of being, then our tepid interest in Deshaun Watson should, be enough for you to say, well, no, I can't support the ownership of this football team. Therefore, I cannot support the football team. Listen, bro, we hate to see you go. And you know that here at the C3 podcast, you always have a welcome family of open arms to come to and hang out. If you want to talk Panther football, man, that's never a problem. But like I said earlier, man, Tony, I'm not in the business of telling people how to feel. And if this is something that really rubs you the wrong way and it's a bridge too far, I can't tell you that you're wrong. And I just ask that everybody, keeps that same mentality. If you feel some type of way, that's fine. People are allowed to disagree about it. But hey, man, we love you, man. Shout out my man, Mile High Panther, dude.
Well, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, listen, I respect the heck out of that, right? Regardless of what people's opinions are, right? If you believe that Deshaun Watson isn't, shouldn't be or should be given vindication or whatever it may be, whatever you believe, right? No matter what, the dude's sticking to his principles, and that's not something you see very often. Like the dude, he admitted to it. He said, "Listen, I'd been justifying it for a while. Like, if you're going to use the reason why you don't want Deshaun Watson, and that's the reason behind it, that's okay. Like I said, and that's not an invalid reason. Like, if you're not comfortable with it, you're not comfortable with it. And then at that point in time, you make that choice of whether or not it's something that you're going to stick around and kind of, if it's going to be worth holding your morals above your fanhood, right? And a lot of times that is more important. So, like I said, I respect the heck out of that decision. It's tough, but it's a decision that he made that he feels like was best for his mental health and his spiritual well-being.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about it is I feel like I was getting broken up with.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he said he
felt like the kid is like this, is that as our parents fight and divorce or do whatever, it's the kids that suffer.
Right.
It's the kids that suffer. I just got broke up with, and I'm sad. But I get, look, is that the question though is like, how do you actually not the questions to think about are like, how do you do this all the time in a just way? Like, I just feel like there's so much shit in this world.
A lot of moving parts.
Maybe I'm just getting roped into the sinfulness of humanity, or it's just like this: is, you know what, you ain't gonna fix it,
right?
Well, and then if you read the news every day, it's some terrible shit after terrible shit after terrible shit. It's it's
And
easy to
people in
let yourself.
power are always the
Yeah,
worst.
yeah, especially too, man. The people at the very top, people that are pulling the strings. It's tough, man. I will say this though.
You know what is that? Basically, he's not just breaking up with the Panthers. He's breaking up with the NFL. That's the way I would almost frame it, Mile High Panther, is that this moment has brought you to that point where you recognized, like Greg said, it's all theatrics. And like all of this crap, it's like it might as well just be like, you know what, the Watson moment to Carolina and their interest in him has just kind of pulled back the curtain for you in the NFL.
Right.
And it's one of the biggest businesses in the world. I mean, you want to talk about Jerry Jones's love child and how he's paid someone to not associate, whatever it is. Like we could just, if we keep pulling back the layers, it's sad. This is that the players, they're the ones that they get dumped on so much, like because their misgivings always merit punishment. Like when a player fucks up, we want to stop the earth. We want to kill them, whatever, you know what I mean? Like hang them up basically. But like Roger Goodell and the owners, they're like this untouchable group of billionaires.
Right.
That can do whatever the fuck they want. And let's not act like, oh, they made Jerry Richardson had basically has a plastic heart. He's got like a pig heart. He's so old. He was about to sell the team. You know what I mean? He was getting to that point anyway where they were already. And then this scandal came up and they asked him to bow out. It's not like they forced him out because they did something. Basically, Jerry Richardson made it easy on the NFL. He said, I'm going to take this one for everybody.
Right.
Dude, I'll never forget during the NFC Championship game in 2015. My mom and brother had never seen Jerry Richardson before, and they showed him in the press box. And, we're up. I mean, we're destroying the Cardinals, right? And he's got this.
He can't move.
He's got like this like scowl face on, and he had actually just recently had a surgery on his heart. So they're like, no, what's wrong with that guy? I'm like, well, he did just have like a major heart surgery, but yeah, he doesn't look like the happiest of fellows, especially knowing what we know about him now. Yeah, man. And
I want to push back on what Dylan Walden said. Ray Caruth killed his baby mama, and you're still a Panther fan. One is that a lot of people weren't Panther fans at all when that happened. So that's like a story that a lot of people don't even know about.
And he never played football.
A lot of people. But the other thing, that's the thing, is you didn't go and then try to trade for him.
And he's in jail.
You actually took they're almost, but probably like how many of these teams have tried to downplay some of this stuff until they couldn't anymore, and then they turn on. I don't know. You know what? Look, I respect that, but I think this is the NFL. I am just to the point where when there's this much money involved, you think Deshaun Watson makes a lot of money? You think he can just pay people off and do this? Check out what a billionaire can do.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that the players, the most highly paid player in the NFL is still just marginally influential in comparison to an NFL owner.
Yeah. Think about $1 billion. It's 1,000 million.
There you go.
About it like that. It's 1,000 million. That's a lot.
And then we're talking about heirs. They're not just one billionaires.
Right.
They are billionaires. Next call.
Tony, this is your mother. I'm calling to see how you're doing, Tony. Did you wear your tutu tonight?
Oh, God.
All right, I can't keep this going. What's up, guys? Hey,
what's up?
So, I hope you all are happy. This is what it means if we actually land Deshaun. Morgan Fox, bye-bye.
Forgot to mention that.
See you later. Have fun with the Eagles. Okay, AJ Bouye, later, dude. Like, this is what it means for us to go out and get Deshaun. Like those players or not, we still need depth at each of those positions. And when you start getting rid of quality backups, team doesn't necessarily start to look the same. So, hope this is what you guys wanted, because I saw this coming. So, keep pounding, boys.
Keep pounding.
Let's pivot that discussion right there to one specific set of decisions made by Scott Fitterer. AJ Bouyer's cut. I don't think anyone's going to lose any sleep over that.
No. What was
the
your
Morgan
nickname for
Fox-
him during the season? You had a nickname.
Yeah, he
that
played
you-
all right sometimes. I mean, he played
Yeah,
all
but
right
you-
sometimes, and he didn't. I mean, it's
You
like
used to
he won't.
call him something. Booyaka. Yeah,
Booyaka, AJ Bouyaka.
AJ
That's
Booyaka.
I took that from
all the G's.
Yeah, G baby. But he was saying Booyaka before AJ Bouye was with us. But that's what I always thought of when I heard his name. But I thought the Morgan Fox name was more surprising. Right. Collectively, these two moves freed up $6.5 million in cap room. The interesting part about this is we cut Morgan Fox, but then signed Marquise Haynes to make $5 million a year. So this was a player we'd rather have Haynes than Morgan Fox. And I guess the most upsetting part of all of this to me is that you continue to tell me we have too small of a sample set with Fitterer and these guys to really, all of their free agent signings they have quit on. And it was Rule, then it was Fitterer, but it's like went and got Teddy. Like all the people they signed 2 years ago, boom, they're not on this team anymore. Then last year we go out and get Perryman, Fox, Fox, all of this not on the team anymore. So like that's the kind of weird thing. I thought that Morgan Fox was a pretty solid player.
Yeah,
I'm just a little surprised they didn't see it that way. They saw Haynes as being a starter, probably. I guess.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of weird. And that is a great point. Now that you mention it, Tony, you would think between Marquise Haynes and Morgan Fox that Morgan Fox probably has the better resume between the two of them. And there were times when Morgan Fox, kind of took over portions of the game last year. It's kind of easy to forget about, but he did make some good plays. Again, man, I think this is just cap casualty. If you're Morgan Fox, you got to charge one to the game, man. They're going to bring in people that they feel that they're comfortable with, that, is familiar with what they're doing. And I feel like Marquise Haynes kind of provided Phil Snow that familiarity. So,
right. Yeah. I mean, they did keep some players that they got in free agency.
Oh, what about Arnold? How about this? Another one. Dan Arnold, gone.
Yeah. All of our free agent class from last year, I mean, they're out the door,
No, we still have Henderson and Gilmore, don't we?
Yeah,
no, we got both of those in trades mid-season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so all the free agent picks, they were all, they're out the door, man.
You know what? He's all like that. You know what's funny about this is they'd rather have Marty Herney's dude than they would their own dude, Haynes. Next call.
Hey, this is a longtime listener to your podcast on YouTube, Juan, aka Sports Freak 28. I've been calling to say, can we take a grateful moment from the Deshaun Watson debate? Talk about what just happened a little while ago. I was looking online, and this, believe it or not, but the Panthers did just make a big splash today, free agency. About an hour ago, breaking news on ESPN, they confirmed the Carolina Panthers had agreed to a term with former Viking safety at Xavier Woods, and working on a deal with a former Rams player, Austin Corbett. Do you not think right now that's good news so far for the Panthers going towards the NFL draft, Deshaun Watson, or what's going to happen next? And do you think maybe the Panthers might be met some players like they're going to let go and play again, like Dante Jackson to play corner, a safety with J.C. Horn? Or you don't think this free agency signings are just a sign of a rebuilt with this on Watson in mind?
Yeah.
Because I'm just listening to your podcast and was going around online and found out the breaking news by the Panther from an hour ago is, I want to say one thing. This is actually good stuff for us right now at the moment for defense. And for offense, I'm thinking if we do trade a player, it better not be McCaffrey because McCaffrey is good in offense. I know he's hurt, but at least we should use him at the moment. What we should do is offer a small package deal and draft. That's to move up from the later round pick to the second round pick in case one of the players that we want on offensive line, like the offensive lineman goes or the quarterback goes, we have a backup to trade down from there, our assist pick for another offensive line to get. I just want to know, what do you think about so far about the two signings at the moment during this crazy Deshaun Watson debate? Do you think it's a good move or not? So far, I want to give it like maybe a B+ for now. This for defense and for offense, probably a C for now until we see what to do with the draft at free agency for the rest of this week. So I just want to say thank you for your podcast. I love y'all so much. And yeah, great night and keep pounding.
Thank you, man.
Keep
Fantastic call. Fantastic call, man. I mean, yeah, I feel like I talked so much. Maybe you guys want to jump on this first?
Well, if we're just talking about the two signings that we had, I absolutely love them. I mean, it seems like it's weird because every time I hear about a trade or a signing with Carolina, I'm insanely excited about it. And, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Like certain things, I don't think the Henderson one worked out as well as I thought it was going to. I like the Gilmore trade. I just think that these free agent pickups were positions that we needed with players that have proven. So I'm willing to pay for them, and I'm really, really enjoying what I've seen so far, or liking what I've seen so far in free agency.
Yeah, I think this is that. I don't want to overly celebrate these picks because we needed a safety and we needed a guard. Like if we didn't get a safety, like imagine if we went and signed a wide receiver, or like these are two positions we had to fill. You knew that, right? And we're still not even to the point where we're confident that those additions alone will be enough, right? It's just, here's the thing, step in the right direction. Number one, you like that these guys, the availability of these guys.
Right.
I have not heard anybody really focusing on the liabilities of these two players. Like, I mean, when you just Google stories from when this Xavier Woods was playing with the Cowboys and with the Minnesota Vikings, I just have not seen a lot of people going, oh, this dude is a fucking bum. Like we saw with F-Line, like we saw with Cam Irving, right? Those stories existed. Those and I just haven't had anybody go, oh man, you guys really screwed up in picking these dudes. So I want to say I'm going to give them kudos for making the necessary signings. I'm going to give them kudos for getting guys that aren't bums, that they hope are not going to be bums in the future. But I also don't want to overly congratulate people for doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
Like, is that like, we need you to be, these are the singles you got to hit. You got to hit these singles, bro, and get some bases, get some runners on the bases, and then go and hit an RBI with Deshaun Watson next. Then it'll be interesting. But this front office has not been mistake free. And I don't know. And until we can separate Scott Fitterer from Matt Rule, I just don't know how to assess it entirely. Like, are the bad decisions on Rule? Are they on Fitterer? Are the good decisions on Rule or Fitterer? Or is it a mixture of both? And if these work out, who should I give the credit for? And so, look, we need these guys to work. We need some runners on the bases. That's what we need.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're right. We don't want to pat him on the back too much. To the caller's point, I do like the picks. It does to me appear like we're trying to build around Deshaun Watson. But listen, even if you took Deshaun Watson out of the equation, I feel better about our roster today because of the trades that were made than I did yesterday. I think all those signings were good picks if you're looking at who they are and what they do. And they fill pieces for us. You know, they're able to come in and you know, do work for us right away. So, big time donation in the chat. Love bomb from Hootie Jube. What's up, fellas? Coming from a Saints YouTuber. I've been watching y'all channel and also subscribe. It's sounding like it's between us and y'all and the Browns to land Watson. Good luck to whoever gets him. By BTW, maybe a future collab. Absolutely, man. Thank you for the donation. And yeah, man, I since you wished us luck, we will oblige and wish you guys luck as well, man. But this is a big moment for both of our organizations, and yeah, I think we could do some collabs maybe in the future.
Definitely. Go check out Hootie Jube. Drop if that's hopefully that's the name of your YouTube channel. Thank you for the support. And look, remember, we're all supporting each other. This is lock arms moment. I like this. First of all, is Hootie Jube's another YouTube content creator. Cody went on with Panther Nation podcast last night. We do a ton of collaboration work. So yes, we're always open. Just hit us up. You can hit me up on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. You can hit all the guys up. Cody. You can find I actually got all the Twitter handles in the show description.
Yep.
So you can message anybody on the show.
Right next to our faces, right there.
Yeah.
Right up on screen.
So the thing is that I can't wish you luck. Cannot do that. I gotta wish you bad luck in this. I gotta wish you the bad.
Because he did it to us.
I know that was very sweet. That's like a good thing. But I will wish you luck as a content creator. How about that? Is that this is the thing? Is we're grassroots media. Wait until you hang out for my ice up pick. Is when the mainstream media gets mad at the grassroots movements, you know they're feeling the duress. They're feeling under pressure. But look, we're locking arms. Panther fans are locking arms on Tuesday night, coming together and talking about the Panthers. Good, bad, and indifferent. Right? We're getting on this. We're hungry for NFL content. Guess what? What I want to know about the Saints, I don't go to ESPN. I go check out content creators like Hootie Jube, like Under the Dome podcast, one of my favorite dudes. All like right. So we got Bob Rose comes on all the time on the show. Alan Ulrich. We hang out. Look, we've got our ear to the ground. And I tell you this, you want to know what's going on with the Carolina Panthers? Just check the Discord. Check the damn this chat room right here. They know everything that's going on. They're going to know this. They'll be like this. I saw Deshaun Watson walking his dog, and that dog had a blue shirt on. And I think he's going to Carolina. This
He's letting
mug.
us know.
Yeah.
He picked up his dog shit with a blue bag. I think it's definitely coming to Carolina.
I'm telling you, I look in that chat. This chat tells me everything. I'm like, man, these mugs, I almost wonder how they do it. I feel like they're on the internet, just doing these crazy searches in the Twitter algorithm. It's like Watson plus blue plus dog. Watson plus how are they doing it? It's wonderful. So yeah.
And, but by the way, I just posted the link to our Discord channel in the chat box. So if you want to join our Discord community, you're more than welcome to do so. Come hang out, be a part of the conversation.
All right, next call.
Yes, this is Juan Conde, aka Sports Freak 28.
Back again.
Just talked about the Deshaun Watson free shapes and what's going on between the Saints and the Panthers. I'm just thinking about the Deshaun Watson case might cost the Panthers a lot of that money. What y'all saying? It could be like $53 million the Panthers would have to be responsible for. But I'm thinking about some ideas I want to run by y'all, if I may.
Yeah.
How y'all feel about the Panthers instead of the trade if they don't get it? Signing Cam Newton back to the team going through agency, or Marcus Mariota, and going after some free agencies like we signed Xavier Woods today for safety. That's my other messes. Yeah, we back. What is the guy's name? We just let go. The other safety. Oh boy.
The safety? Oh,
that who's this?
Tyrann Mathieu?
That's the name on
Maybe.
He's like, let me Google it. Google it. Google it. Give me a second.
Let's leave Dante Jackson back. Another deal.
Dante.
It's safety. They go after Collins, who does.
Landon Collins. Man, we can't.
If we could put him
Box safety.
Woods, we have a nice little 1-2 punch to safety at front safety. I mean, strong safety. Then if we get J.J. Horn back healthy, we could put him at safety at corner. Like switch him out. And I'm sorry. I'm just kind of a little nervous here.
It's all right, man. It's all right. We're going to talk about this part of the call, and then we got a lot of calls coming on, so we appreciate your support there. Landon Collins, I don't think is a great fit for the team. Yeah. Box safety, high paid, third contract player, right? Not going to come. He's not going to come on he's not like a diamond in the rough type player. Not like a Xavier Woods, you're getting a guy who played every snap, like Greg told us, for pennies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if you look at his contract, I think it was 3 years, $15 million. It's not like that's a low level deal in the NFL. I always say this: if Ian Thomas makes more money than you ain't getting paid. And Ian Thomas got overpaid. Yeah. So it's like, how do you judge it? Just look at it in comparison to Ian Thomas's contract converter rate.
That's the bar.
But I think this is that we need Jeremy Chin to be that type of player. And now here's the thing. What blows it up is if Chin's included in a Deshaun Watson deal.
Yeah, which I think
then I can't. Then all of a sudden, maybe a Landon Collins becomes a type of acquisition that would help the team box safety.
Yeah,
that is proven. Good team guy for the most part. Hates Eli Apple. Pretty sure he don't like Eli Apple, which is also another thing. Is like another good conversion calculator is like, how do you man up against Eli Apple? If you're tougher than Eli Apple, if like you're not tougher than Eli Apple,
yeah,
problem.
Hey, how about Hootie Jube coming back with another love bomb, man? $9.99. He said, "There's one thing we can all agree on is this: F Tom Brady for coming out of retirement.
True that.
He did all this just for the attention. Still respect TB though. Just wish." He leave it to the young quarterbacks now. Yeah, man. I mean, look, Tom Brady, I never felt like Tom Brady was done. Even when he was done, it didn't feel right to me. Like, it wasn't like
really?
Yeah, dude, it wasn't like he was a Peyton Manning or a Brett Favre that was like out there just looking old as shit, like they shouldn't be out there anymore.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, dude, his last pass that he ever threw. His last pass that he threw was a beautiful touchdown pass.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to retire. I thought he was going to be a Tennessee Titan. I thought he was going to like force his, way out.
Try to see if he can win multiple with multiple teams.
That would be
more
cool.
than just two, yeah.
That would be badass. How many players have done that? Have there been any player? Well, I mean, actually, there is Charles Haley. I think that's his name. He's won more Super Bowls than even Tom Brady, I think, or the same amount, but he won like 4 and 3. Maybe it's the same amount. He won with the San Francisco 49ers. Like, he played on the 49ers and the Cowboys when they were just racking up Super Bowls, which this guy is crazy. Like, he used to jerk off in team meetings.
That was that dude?
Yeah. Yeah, and like he is like at the same time these stories are crazy, wild, and disturbing. But like he is funny, dude. He went on this podcast with Fred Taylor, and he was just trading jabs, and they were trying to judge something. They were trying to make fun of him about that stuff, and he was just coming back at it. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
But I wonder, how about this? Is just stick on that Tom Brady joint for a moment. You're right. It's like he didn't look done. He hasn't looked spent.
Yeah, he was like number 2 in MVP voting. He almost won the MVP. So
The thing about it though is that like once he said he was retiring, you're like, man, I saw this one tweet and it was like he got one fight with Giselle and he's like, I'm going back to work. Screw this. I can't, like, he has nothing but football. I think that's the problem for a Tom Brady. He doesn't have anything else but football. Like even his like crazy dietary programs are just all built for his football longevity. Like his identity is so intertwined. Like what does he do during the day? Like he must be so bored. Like he's not probably like he just not like you see Aaron Rodgers pick up a guitar and do some stuff or go hike. Like it's like Tom Brady is just football only. I did think this is interesting. I heard Dan Patrick and them talking about this. The poor schmuck who bought Tom Brady's last final touchdown pass football in an auction for $581,000.
Oh my Lord!
2 hours later, Tom Brady announces he was coming back.
2 hours later.
Yeah, it was like right after. It was like there's a very close.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and y'all just
man,
took
that's
both
a-
my ice up picks tonight with both those last two topics we talked about. So dang it. I got to think both of my ice up picks. So.
Next call.
What's up, fellas? All this talk about Deshaun Watson. Watching NFL Network, they talking about how he fits with the Saints because of this and that. Who's he going to throw the ball to in the Saints?
Right. That's
People
what I've been
forgetting about
saying.
Kamara
Thomas
been facing a
Who you
Yeah,
think's gonna be a part-
Kamara, you brought this up last night, Cody.
Who you think is going to be a part of that trade package? You think that they're going to accept these old veteran guys that they got on defense?
Right.
No.
Okay. I was trying to go through their roster and look at what young defensive players they could be willing to trade. Marcus Davenport was restructured today, so he's not an option anymore. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is potentially on that list. They drafted a young corner out of Stanford last year named Paulson Adebo, who is a very good corner, played very good for them last year. He could be in consideration. Outside of that, those are the trade partners that New Orleans could send. And as far as, the offense, you're basically depending on Deshaun getting the ball to Michael Thomas religiously. And if Alvin Kamara is playing, using him to run the football. I think probably the biggest selling point for the New Orleans Saints is the offensive line. But again, no Teron Armstead. And I don't know if the Texans, they might say that they want one of those big time offensive linemen to put in front of their young quarterback. So, I mean, every single way that you lay this out, I genuinely do believe that the Panthers are the best option for not only Deshaun Watson, but for the Houston Texans. I think Deshaun would have some of the best weapons in the NFL, bar none, if he's playing in the Panthers offense. And then at the same time, I think the Texans are very interested in our young defensive players and our number 6th pick in the draft. I think they're highly interested in. So I just think, from both of those two parties, I would say yes to Carolina, but I'm just a dirty homer.
All right, next call.
the NFL has done a great job making us forget that Alvin Kamara is facing criminal assault charges and possible prison time. Yet there's no talk about how long he's going to be suspended, huh?
That's right.
Yeah, yep, that's a good point. Alvin Kamara, if there's one player on a team, you're like on a team you hate that you love, right? Is there a player on like your top hated teams in the Saints, the Falcons? Like, is there one player that I like on another team? Well, it's Alvin Kamara.
Everyone likes Alvin Kamara. Me and my brother were talking about this. It's like, who doesn't like Alvin Kamara? The guy is just
the guy that got his ass beat in that club, but he don't like Alvin Kamara. Next call.
Yeah. What's good, Panther Nation? It's Anthony calling in. All I can say from this point on is my fingers are crossed that we do land this superstar, athletic freak of a quarterback. You can take that how it is. I personally just think with the signing of Foreman, that means that McCaffrey is potentially in this deal. Just because we drafted a running back last year, I don't really see us running a committee. If we do trade too much for Deshaun Watson, well, at least we have the quarterback, the top 5 quarterback. Right. I mean, we really haven't seen any signs from this team moving in a positive direction, and I think that's why David Tepper wants to make this move. Like he wants to put our team in a position for the future. So just wanted to call in. Love the show, guys. Keep it up and keep pounding. My fingers are crossed, but I feel like we're going to be hearing something within the next 24 hours. So
I think so.
Yeah.
Keep pounding. And let's bring Deshaun.
Wonderful, man. We appreciate the support. We're going to keep pounding through the calls.
Hey guys, what up? It's Connor. Back here again with another call in.
What's up, Connor?
So this one, guys, I'm not sure if you guys will actually end up playing this on the podcast, but I would like to audition for the C3 Panthers podcast. I'd love to chill with you guys on Tuesdays and Fridays nights and all that kind of stuff. Email me if you guys would let me come on the show and talk with you guys. My Gmail is Connor Jordan.
You might not want that on the air.
All right. It's all right. All right. Well, we're going to hold it back this. How about this? Is you message Cody Lashley?
Yeah. Look.
On
Connor,
Discord.
Connor, message me on Discord and message me on Twitter too. And dude, we'll definitely see about getting you, letting you have some spots. And also, again, man, Connor, this is for you. This is for Noah. This is for absolutely everyone. You can be a part of the Friday free-for-all. That is the show for C3 fans, by C3 fans. You can come on. We're going to be having a great discussion. We do it every Friday at 7 p.m., man. And if anything, I like showing people that they can do their own thing too. A lot of people that have come on the free-for-all are now starting to make their own channels and do their own setups, and they're realizing, hey, it's fun to get on the internet and talk about the Carolina Panthers and just hang out and have a good time with good people. So, yeah, man, definitely be a part of that Friday free-for-all, 7 p.m.
This is a show for fans by fans, right? Like, this is all we are fans. So You're welcome, right? Right away, you're welcome to the community. Friday night is the night that we give like the open forum to anybody, not anybody, but to Panther fans, right? So Connor, that would be a great place to look. There's some cool personalities that are emerging on Friday nights that are making their stamp on the C3 Nation, right? In a part of our community is that you got some regular mainstays. So I think that's a great place to kind of start building your brand. And look, we're always welcome to people coming on the Tuesday night thing. Here is the ultimate thing with the Tuesday night show is that we're almost at 3 hours right now. And we still have like 8 calls to go. So we have to be, so we can do some spots and we can do some different things for some guests like that. But like we have to be cautious about expanding the Tuesday night show. But look, there could be great collaboration opportunities in YouTube Shorts. Like, I want your creativity, Connor, to come to the C3 channel.
That's right.
That's what I want. I want your creativity to come through to us. And what I mean by that is, how can you see our channel growing with you and with other Panther fans? How can we continue to interact and make cool content? And I bet you know a lot cooler ways than I do. Numbers 252-228-5098.
Hey guys, it's Joey again, and you guys reminded me of a point that I wanted to call in about earlier, but I forgot, and now I remember again that that people are saying, "Oh, I'm going to quit the Panthers if Deshaun Watson signs." And you have all those. You have people that always the threat to boycott is so powerful these days, and I don't know why, because it's so dumb. Because these are people that, if here's what's gonna go on with these people, they're gonna do that for 1 or 2 games, then we're gonna win, Then everybody's going to be talking about the Panthers like we're
and it's going to be real
finally
fun
on the right track again. Then they're going to watch on TV. Then they're going to get the itch to go back to the stadium, and they're going to go back to the stadium, and they're going to be fans again. And the ones that doesn't happen to, well, they weren't really fans anyway.
Or they're just a minority.
They-
How about
they were
this?
just
Let's not call them not
fans
fans.
to feel like they fit in the city, which maybe they didn't, maybe they did. Who knows?
All right.
So
here we're gonna fast forward to the railroad.
Ooh,
I
deep
don't
yellow
I don't
on that.
like to call people fake fans or not real fans. Like I think this, if you cheer for the show one time, then you were a fan in that moment. If you smash that thumbs up button one time, you were a fan in that moment. I don't know. I want more fans. That's it. More fans.
And this kind of it kind of ties into the last call with Connor. You know, me and Tony and CK and Greg, you know, we're always talking and thinking about ways to continue to grow the channel. And look, just in the past couple of years, I mean, the amount of subscribers that we've gained, our channel is bigger now than it ever has been. And we're always thinking of ways to expand content and do new things. And yeah, I definitely see us later on, you know, wanting to bring in more people to do some cool things related to the channel too. This is a fan channel. Tony, you started it with this motto. You know, this is a podcast from the fan perspective. And that's what we are, man. Fans who really care about this football team and want to put forward our best work and continue to cultivate this community. So hit that like, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell.
Dylan Walden talking about fans says quality over quantity. I just want to say this is that, you know, who has a better quality fan than the Carolina Panthers? The Cleveland Browns. Those poor fuckers have been cheering for misery forever. But I watched that 2015 season. It was so fun. I was high-fiving everybody. I walk around. And I don't care if I high-five a grandma in Walmart and she only knows Luke Kuechly's name. It was so fun. I want both quality and quantity. I want happiness. I want dang Super Bowl, please. Such a big conquest. This is what's so cool about doing this podcast for 10 years now. Think about this. It's like we could be 10 more years. No Super Bowl. We could be like the Super Bowl is the prize.
Don't you put that on me, Tony Dunn.
Aaron Rodgers has only got one, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not easy to get. I need it. That's what we want. I don't care if it takes fake fans. I don't care. Actually, I don't know if I won't say I don't care. Jason cares. He will not sell his soul for a dang Super Bowl. But boy, that I cannot tell you how fun the podcast was in 2015, bro.
Here's
it was the easiest 15 weeks in a row where we were undefeated. It was like
here's my only thing
here at that time.
That content, like I understand what they're saying, and I agree with you, Tony. I wouldn't want to call somebody not a fan because you're entitled to stop liking or like something for whatever reason you want to. And if this feels like it's gone something personal to you and it's more important to you than pulling for a football team, then that's fine. I understand your decision. But if you truly feel that way, Tony, you said it earlier, you can't be a fan of any team. Not only that, you really can't be a fan of any content in America. Because behind every bit of content you read, there's something dirty going on. Yeah. I promise you there is. And
especially the
just
C3.
like everybody. Huh?
Especially C3.
Yeah.
You pull behind that cart right here and you get a drunk 40-year-old.
I guess it all comes down to how much you're willing to put up with. But once again, we don't know what happened with this. It's all accusations. And if he's found not guilty of anything, then who are we to judge this man and say that he was, you know?
I just don't like the true fan thing. It's like this is I like Batman, Greg. Always been one of my favorite comic book / superhero / whatever universe that you consider all that in, whatever corner of content that is. But just because I don't know as much as you, Greg, or follow like what the actor did on a Tuesday or something like this, is like, I'm a fan of Batman. I'm just not I don't know. I just think it's okay to be a casual fan. And I think that bandwagon fans are a reality. And I think bandwagon humans are a reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just hop on every fad and hop off every fad. And while there is something cool to the guy who does the Super Civil Servants podcast every Friday night and talks an absurd, like we do, amount of Batman and whatever it may be, like, that's awesome. The guy that just paid for the ticket to go see Batman and took his kids, he's pretty cool too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he made it happen just as much, to a certain degree. So I don't know. Gatekeeper, I don't like the gatekeeper fan thing. I just want any fan. I'll take you. I want the pretty, beautiful woman who don't know one single player on that team. I want her in the stands with me. Boom. I'm okay with that, fan. She cooler than.
Well, the thing.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the only thing that I've ever said about bandwagon fans is that, you still want a bandwagon fan is someone who jumps off when the time gets hard. It's not a new fan. Like, a lot of people think that, if a team starts winning,
if you weren't here from the beginning.
Yeah, like, dude, it doesn't matter when you came on board, as long as you're on board, man. Like, my on board point was Cam Newton. That's how I came to the football team. After Cam Newton left and that whole saga, I'm still with the football team. So, you have to build new fans, and I think that's an important part of the process. And it's important that we don't call them all bandwagon fans. They just have to last.
Yeah, like Connor and Noah, like, just because they weren't alive when the team was founded.
Bandwagoners.
Nah, actually, yeah. I mean, I feel like we're the bandwagoners in comparison to those guys. They're the true fans. That's what some people start OnlyFans accounts. These cats start true fan accounts. Next call.
Sports guy. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. There's a lot of fans. If we get Deshaun Watson, they're like done with Carolina. That I don't care who we have. That's my team. I'm always gonna be a team first guy. And if we get Deshaun Watson, I'm ordering me a number 4 jersey. And on the back, it's going to say rub and tuck.
Oh, God.
No.
No.
I get thrown out. But that's fine, because I will proudly wear a number 4 rub and tuck Carolina Panthers jersey.
I don't think they could. Imagine them. That would be the awesomest story ever. Is that team throws out fan for abhorrent behavior from the team that brought in the player that had the abhorrent behavior.
That would be great.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what would happen.
Hey, Tony, I just got a DM from Natalie Miller. She said she called into the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, gosh. Well, all right. We got 4 more calls.
This is
So
power
what are the
through.
last
Let's get
4?
going. Yep.
And I want to say one more thing.
Here's
C3 is Noah again.
Noah?
That I feel like it's a more promising season for the Carolina Panthers. Like, if you look at all the trades that we're doing and all the players that we're getting, I feel like we're getting like a new addition to like a new team. It feels like to me. I really don't want them to trade like Christian McCaffrey. It's like if you trade Christian McCaffrey, I feel like it's not like. I think that if we change his position and like he built up some more muscles and like more like
more muscles,
stuff like that. I feel like he'd be a better player and he won't get as injured as often.
He got a lot of muscles, Noah. He got a lot of look. I found it. Here it goes. Natalie Miller. A lot of the content. Thank you, first of all, for the insight. Here we go. Let's see what she's got to say.
Hey, this is Natalie Miller. I thought I'd give you guys an update. I heard about what Aaron Wilson had said, and I contacted my guy, and we had a little bit of a talk. It wasn't very long, but the report is still the same from me and from other people close to the situation, is that Carolina feels good. I don't think they came away feeling the Saints were leading or anybody else was leading. The mood hasn't changed, that they feel good about the meeting they had. Whether that means they get him, I don't know. I definitely think the Saints are in play. I don't think the Falcons are in play. I think that the Falcons are, it's kind of, the meeting is almost arbitrary just because of the respect that Deshaun has with the ownership. I do think he wants to go to Atlanta, but I think it is going to be between the Saints and the Panthers who have the cap space to do it. And I know people say, well, how did the Saints have the cap space? Because they have a cap wizard and they have a lot of flexibility because their money isn't tied up in a quarterback.
Right.
That's all I wanted to say. Sorry I couldn't call in earlier. Thanks.
Thank you, Natalie, for the insight. Cody, refresh us on the Aaron Wilson comment, right? He said that the Saints were leading, I think.
Yeah, Aaron Wilson, and I can even pull up the tweet here. Aaron Wilson, he's from Pro Football Network. He just recently did a Twitter space, and he continues to say that even the Panthers think that Deshaun has the New Orleans Saints as their number one, as his option. And, you know, this is getting retweeted. It's going all around, all around Twitter. So, again, like I said, at the end of the day, we're just not going to know until the news breaks on its own. Natalie and a bunch of other people have been on Twitter sharing a lot of good information about how the Panthers are, they felt confident about the trade that they made. So I found another Twitter post about this. David Tepper was in the room with Deshaun. So was his wife, Nicole. Both Matt Rule and Fitterer were in there. There was a bunch of people that were in on that meeting. And I really do think they were trying to let Deshaun know that this entire organization is all behind Deshaun Watson. So, I mean, I genuinely think the Panthers have done everything that they can at this point. They've exhausted every avenue. I can only hope that the Panthers openness this entire time in wanting to trade for Deshaun. I hope that means something to him. Deshaun believes that he's been innocent this entire time. And really, the Panthers have been the only team that has pretty much been believing him this entire time and has been comfortable in trading for him even before the legal issues were cleared up. So I hope that means something to him. Time will tell, man. We'll have to find out.
I think that is this is on the verge of me being crass. I can't say the word because we got Connor and Noah listening. But Watson truly would be a blank if he says to the Houston Texans, you got to take this worst deal with the Saints just because, you know what I mean? Like I just don't feel like the Saints have the firepower really.
Right.
Yeah.
To do what we didn't think originally we had the firepower to do. Right? For the last year and a half, we've just talked about the Carolina Panthers not even being able to pull this off if they wanted to. And right now, out of the teams that are offering everything, we're offering to the Houston Texans the best deal.
Right.
As Natalie mentioned to me, is that this is the deal that they like the most. It's almost like it's a Watson. At what point are you going to stop being a blank? At what point are you going to stop being our headache?
Can you imagine in this meeting, Tepper saying, and if I fire this guy right here.
Actually, that's a good point. Is imagine that meeting with Matt Rule in it. And you're like, well, we'll even give you carte blanche on the next coach.
To be fair, to be fair, I don't necessarily think that's what they were saying. I kind of think
Right.
what they're all telling to Deshaun is that going forward, when it comes
You're our
time,
guy.
when
You're
it
our
comes,
guy.
and no, not even that though. Like when it comes time to free agency, and when it comes time to bringing in people, that you're going to have a say so in how the Panthers continue to go forward. And by the way, all the big time
That absurd? That's what Aaron Rodgers asked for.
That was my exact point. That's what Aaron Rodgers has been asking for what, 4 years now? That's what Tom Brady gets. This is what all these other big time quarterbacks, when you're a part of that organization as their franchise quarterback, your opinion matters more. And that's why we're in this whole scenario to begin with, man. Coming across.
Don't you think going to the Browns, do you think the Browns would be a more all right, why out of all the destinations, look, people are going to tell us that the Carolina Panthers are not the uncertainty. They're not good. All these different things. The Saints, we think, are a tick up, but then you bring into the question is outside of Alvin Kamara, where is their offense? And how long is that defense going to work? Is that offensive line going to be I almost feel like the Browns are the best team out of the bunch.
And you can't.
But then you think about this: the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, Burrow and the Bengals.
Yeah, no more Landry, no more Beckham over there too. They just traded for Amari Cooper.
Oh, good
from
point.
The Cowboys.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, they do have Nick Chubb. They do have Kareem Hunt. Although I don't know if Kareem Hunt. I heard that he was on the trade block or a potential trade block. So I do agree though. Like on paper right now, I would say the Browns are probably the best roster. I mean, if Baker Mayfield was the type of franchise quarterback that they thought he was going to be, people were saying that was a Super Bowl roster. So, and then by the way, from Joey Betts 5 on Twitter, he's also saying that he's heard that the Saints have reached out about potentially trading for Baker Mayfield. So maybe the Saints don't quite feel as confident as everyone's making them out to be. Mm-hmm. Again, man, all this stuff is hearsay. We truly won't know until tomorrow. Cross your fingers that you see my face going live tomorrow, doing a live stream, talking about Deshaun Watson being traded to the Carolina Panthers, man.
I hope all of our faces are beaming about that, and then trying to wrestle with the question of our ethics. Next call.
Hey,
3 more
from Charleston.
This one includes
Cody. What I say? What I say on the Friday free for all. What I say last week. We don't need to draft a running back in the 4th round. We can get one for cheap
in free agency. Yeah.
Well, there you go, Kevin.
I'm so fucking happy. We're not going.
I'm happy for you.
So fucking happy. Peace.
He's right. Yeah. We paid him $2 million, man. That's like cheaper than the draft pick.
Well, we always do these mock drafts, and I'll pick a running back in the late rounds, and he's like, "No, that's still too early for a running back." So you got your wish. We don't need to spend another draft pick on a running back.
All right, next call.
Probably will.
Hey guys, this is Chuck
Yeah,
from
right.
Elizabeth City, aka Carolina Sports Guy. I just heard the call you guys had from the gentleman in Colorado, but I'm not gonna knock someone if they have ethical standards or if there's reasons why they won't support a team or players and they won't watch anymore. Because it's just like the Pledge of Allegiance and the whole thing. People took a knee or quit watching. But let me tell you how far my Panther fandom goes. When this ship is going down and taking on water and we're sinking, and there's blood in the water, and we're going down, let me tell you something, guys. Here come the sharks. What do? I bite the damn shark. That's not something like that. As a Panther fan, I keep Panthers. I never give up. I don't care if we've got the communist leader of North Korea playing punter for us. It doesn't matter. I'm a Carolina Panther fan. That's why I've got the tattoos. That's why I support the team. It doesn't matter. It's like I'm pregnant for the rest of my life with the Carolina Panthers, and I'm going through labor pains, and that's why in the story.
He said, "Bite the shark." I bite the shark. How about that? He don't even punch the shark in the nose, right? Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Is punch it in the nose? He said, "Nah, I bare my teeth."
Yo, Chuck from Elizabeth City chooses violence, y'all. I like that. We need that energy, man. Look, I've been saying this too, man. If we're ever gonna shed that wine and cheese crowd type of image, that's the kind of mofo you need on your side, man. Ready to ride or die for some Carolina Panthers. That's my shit.
I know,
like
biting it, man. Don't get in the dog pile with Chuck. There's some weird crap. There's some mean stuff that happens at the bottom of the dog pile.
Oh yeah.
Biting sharks is one of them. Man. Biting DJ Shark. Oh, next call. Last call.
Hey, what's good, man? This is Fitterer. Shout out to y'all, man. Been watching y'all
what's going on,
for
bro?
a while now. I just want to say this, man, to the ones that don't like the idea of Watson coming because of his legal issues. I'm not one to, say I know anything, because none of us do. But I am skeptical, right? Like, when I hear these things, I don't think one way or the other, but I am skeptical in a sense to where, they was in court for 6 hours, and came out of there without him having any criminal charges, right? That says something. So now he has 22 civil cases, civil suits, or whatever you want to call them. And like I said, I'm not saying he's totally innocent. I'm not saying he's halfway innocent. I'm not saying he's guilty. I don't know. We don't know. But I look at it like this, and this is why I'm skeptical of what's going on. If you took somebody in the room, if you took 22 people and put them in separate rooms, and you went and you punched them, all throughout your city, you're going to get arrested, within a matter of 24 hours, if not killed. But anyway, so I'm saying that to say, a lot of people look at it and say, okay, 22, there's got to be something there. I say 22, wait a minute, that's a missuspicion. If you go around town and smack 22 booties, you're not going to get arrested 2.5 years later.
That is a good point. Like,
yeah. So that's all I want to say, man. Is we got to stop with these pitchforks out just because of things you hear in the media and stuff like that. I'm not saying that he's innocent, not saying he's guilty. I'm just saying let's just not judge the guy, until everything is out. And even then, you still really don't know the truth. Because sometimes innocent people go to jail. And in this case, sometimes innocent people lose civil suits. But that's all I want to say, man. Keep down and,
I think here is the thing is that like we're just trying in our own way, in our own universe, in our own life to navigate this world the best we can with this type of these unfortunate incidents that happen, these circumstances that happen. Like Cody says, we pick and choose winners and losers in this a lot. Who we hate, who we love, who we demonize, who we forgive. But that is something that's kind of interesting is that, and maybe the money, the power, the influence is one thing. Then you can see the other people that are going, the money is what people are after, some things like that. And, but he's right. There's this guy that at this place, I mean, this was years ago, but somebody at this place I work at that they tried to apply for a job with another name. Like they reapplied like years later. They had as a part-timer, like a small low-level position, but like they used a different last name and stuff. And they were a random booty grabber. That's what they were. Like this person, the reason that they weren't fired because of this, but it happens while they're at work. And then they tried to get a job. They didn't get the job. First of all, a guy found out that they were fake applying under somebody else's name. But this person went to another town. Like he went to Raleigh, North Carolina, and was grabbing booties in Target. Just like randomly walking up to people. And that mug got arrested right away. The random booty grabber got arrested. That is So I don't know. I don't know how people look, but I will say this. He's right. You punch a person in the face, you're going to get arrested usually right away, particularly with video everywhere, social media, lawyers everywhere. But on the other hand, the flip side of that coin is there's a lot of crimes that go undiscovered and unpunished all the time. So while you know, I mean, it's like there's plenty of people who drove home drunk last night that didn't get DUIs. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. So it's tough. This is tough. Don't random booty grab. Only grab booties that want to be grabbed.
Right.
Consensual booty grabs.
Consensual booty grabs. Consensually win some football games. I think that's about. Oh, last topic. The only thing we haven't talked about is this, and there's not even a lot of to talk about because it's 3 hours later. But we got 0 compensatory picks. This is again, as you guys continue to tell me that Scott Fitterer is a genius, and that it's Matt Rule the script. Like, no, actually, there's some stains on the Scott Fitterer resume. I don't know if CJ Henderson is one just yet. But I would say the dubious free agency decisions he's made and when I say dubious is what I mean is that none of them have panned out, right? Is none of them are with the team anymore. So that's kind of funky. He's in on every deal. The one problem I had with Scott Fitterer last year was all that trading around to allocate and get more picks was just squandered. And another example of that is, I guess, the lack of compensatory picks we were able to get because I would say it's probably because of acquiring Cam Newton, maybe, and Gil. I don't know why, but I was told that Stephon Gilmore would get us a pick.
I think that's going to be next year.
Okay.
Would that be for Dante Jackson too? If Dante leaves, is that also for next year?
But no, is that but then it's about who we also get this year, and we've gone out and gotten Corbett. Yeah, it's about I don't know how that equation works. It's a bizarre one. But I guess it would be next year. Is like how you figure it out is. But I'm not ready to sanctify Scott Fitterer just yet. And don't tell me he came from this place that got Russell Wilson. He also came from a place that just traded Russell Wilson. So
he left,
yeah, and they was he there when they traded 2 first-round picks for
Jamal Adams?
Yeah.
Was Russell Wilson there? Yeah.
Was Fitterer there?
No.
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
He wasn't. We hired him that same offseason.
Okay. Interesting. So I don't know. Man, the jury is out on Scott Fitterer for me. Like I have less reason to hate him than I do Matt Rule, but he hasn't done anything yet to make me just think he is impervious, like that he's good yet. So we need
Give
a lot.
him some time. I like what he's doing so far.
I hope so. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We've been doing this for 10 seasons. We haven't missed a Tuesday. If we do miss a Tuesday, we do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday. We haven't missed a week, bro. Even I went to Paris for 2 weeks and I still got this dang joint done. So we appreciate it. We do it because, hey, we don't got no choice. We're like Chuck, pregnant with these pains. And every week we have a contraction on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. And the last contraction of the evening comes with the longest running segment. That is the Ice Up segment. It's our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Everyone is fair game. Politics, sports, whatever you want, whatever in this world you feel needs to ice up, son, you get a chance to do it. Who is ready to go?
I mean, yeah, mine both got mentioned like back to back in the middle of the show. I was going to ice up Tom Brady for playing the back and forth game. It feels like Brett Favre again, and I'm just ready for it to be done. And then I was going to ice up the guy who paid $500,000 for that ball, and then 2 hours later, it was the most expensive paperweight ever.
Like, poor dude.
He's always going to be able to say, "This is the last the last ball Tom Brady threw before he retired the first time.
Right.
That's right. And you know what? We should almost ice him up for being too early. You know, he's a little too early to the party. Like, I mean, everybody knew that this was
a possibility. Yeah.
Well, there were
like
23. It was a auction, and there were 23 people in the auction. I think it was a silent auction, and they were thinking it was going to go over $1 million, but it didn't even get half that. But he was the winner of the 23.
He was the schmuck.
Yeah, man. But just there's so much more stuff you could spend that much money on than a football. Don't get me wrong. I'm a collector. I buy cards. Like, I'm sitting here looking at this Cam Newton rookie autograph card. I've paid over $100 for particular cards before, but we're talking about $500,000. $500,000 for a piece of pigskin. I mean, I get it's memorabilia, but there's just so much more money.
He wants to buy the last Bitcoin, dude. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? There's going to be a moment where there is a last Bitcoin.
To be mined, yeah. It'll always be around, but to be mined, yes.
Like the final Bitcoin. I wonder if you could like preserve it. Can I get an NFT of the final Bitcoin, and how much?
That sounds like a dope movie. The final Bitcoin. No. CK, say that for me.
The final Bitcoin.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, who's next?
I'll go, and it's just a simple one, and I talked about it a little bit earlier, but I'd put a tweet out earlier about Deshaun Watson and basically saying, like, if it was a highlight of Malik Willis throwing just a beautiful pass from, you know, his 30-yard line all the way down to the 29-yard line, and it was a laser right where it needed to be. Just one of those types of throws where you're just hoping to be able to see that in the NFL from your quarterback, right? And we just haven't seen it in a long time. And so I just said, listen, this is videos like this make the Deshaun Watson discussion so much more scary, because if any of these guys are capable of living up to that hype, then it's going to be hard for us to say we won this trade, right? If Malik Willis is on the board at 6 and we could have drafted him and kept all these assets that we're talking about and had the exact same, if not a better quarterback than what Deshaun Watson is, not saying it is going to happen, but those are the possibilities. And, you know, obviously there's risks involved. And one of the things I always said with that is there's also risks involved with Deshaun Watson. No debating he's a good quarterback, but he's also only had one coach his entire career playing, right? That's it. People don't realize that, but he's only ever had one offensive scheme, and that's Bill O'Brien's. And so doesn't mean that he's not a good quarterback, but there's risk involved. He hasn't played in a year. Well, so I put this out there, and the one of the most loyal fans to the podcast, Panthers Buzz FSU, you know, obviously said, just stop talking. And I said, no. And he said, you know, basically he was saying that he's going to keep the receipts because I've constantly talked about, you know, where there's no shot we're getting Deshaun Watson, all this stuff. And I have, and I've verbally said, I don't want to give away so much for Deshaun Watson. And I've kind of maintained that. I'm also open to the idea of getting him, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not sold as Cody is, right? So he's talking about that. Now, I want you guys to understand, Panthers Buzz FSU is the most optimistic fan we've ever had, right? At the beginning of every season,
except for Cam Newton, he hates him.
Yeah, Sam Darnold is the greatest. He's going to take us to the promised land. Teddy Bridgewater's a really good quarterback. You guys will see. He's talking to me about receipts. And if I wanted to, I could go back on all these podcasts and show these receipts. I'm not. I've iced up people for receipts. I'm not a fan of receipts. Like, receipts are just kind of like one of these things that are just a matter of
lame, ain't it?
We all have receipts. Every single one of us. All of us can go back and say, yeah, I said that about that person. Maybe it wasn't the greatest take, right? We've all done it. Don't come out here and say receipts when you have a paper trail of being somebody who's made the wrong move, just being an optimistic Panthers fan. Come on. And this is for you, Panthers Buzz FSU. Ice up, son.
Deshaun Watson got some receipts for some massages.
Right?
Ooh, Cody, you want me to go? Or you? I'm ready.
No, I mean, listen, I don't have a heavy hitter tonight. Why were you expecting
Come
me
on,
to?
no, yeah, you always got
I'm
heavy.
just
Let's
saying
go.
to all the people who are clearly just making shit up for likes and clicks just to get people to talk about them. Like, you're just a troll, man, and it's annoying, and it's like all you're doing is muddying the waters. Oh, and you know what? Hey, how about this? I ice up all the trolls that come in our chat room putting crazy racist shit and all kinds of dumb stuff like that. Man, like, we're just chilling. What you trying to bring the
Oh, what about this on the Friday free for all where my man came up there and he couldn't get his audio to work and you were so nervous? You're like, you better
man,
not.
and like,
you better not.
Dude, because like he's a fan and he's been trying to come on, and I'm always so worried that it's gonna be some dude trying to show their junk or something.
Yeah,
So
which
like,
is happened in the Green Man, that Green Man joint that time. Oh my gosh. With the pastor, whatever, father, whatever. Oh my gosh. All right. My ice up pick goes to this. Let me just share this. Share my screen. How do I do that? I do it right here. Share. Should have been cooler and ready for this. I'm icing up this Clements Michelin. She wrote this. Russell Brand is the new Joe Rogan, and I'm the one he warned you about. So right here is that she is kind of railing against Russell Brand, who I am admittedly late to the party on finding and discovering his YouTube channel. Right? Like, I mean, but I have been watching it a lot over, or a decent amount, not a lot, but I gotta watch it. And it comes up in my algorithm now. But she goes on and she's trying to talk about how ultimately it's another comedian who has capitalized on their brand, which I think she would be better off probably taking that a little bit more as the kind of crux of her argument, but ultimately that they're using conspiracy theories. She said basically she calls him to peddle. He's peddling conspiracy theories, and that he's just another comedian with a big platform that is kind of just capitalizing on the clickbaity lustiness of his fan base. And she goes to this, she writes this, or humor me for she says this: Brand suggested maybe we're jealous because Rogan's viewers trust him. Which she says she's talking about mainstream media, like professional journalists. She goes, and humor me here, we're frustrated to see the same people who criticize the media for using incendiary headlines chase clicks on YouTube by stoking fear of an unnamed enemy, urging people to believe there exists a deeper hidden truth that only the guy with a podcast could possibly reveal. Maybe we roll our eyes when said guy delivers such cutting bits of analysis, come word salad as that's messed up. That's a messed up. I feel like it's a messed up phrase. As Putin puts Russia on nuclear high alert, we ask how many sides are there to the story that may lead to World War III. I'm not the only one who noticed Joe Brand's Joe Roganization, which is a term she invented right here, especially in the midst of his comments on Russia's invasion of Ukraine and on Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Twitter. Now this, I did laugh at this Chloe Combe, who described him as basically Joe Rogan dressed as Jack Sparrow. Now that did make me laugh. I ain't gonna lie about that. Oh, and then she goes on to say, dressed as Jack Sparrow at a wellness retreat. That's even better. Here's what I'm kind of icing up about this is number one, these terms like they and this, like, so she's saying he's a conspiracy theorist. And I think what he kind of is a cynic of, now he is kind of hippie-ish. I ain't gonna lie about that. Like, he's gonna eat his peyote and try to interpret the world and think that we can do this without governments and like we can all be hippies that live together in this greater truth or whatever. But here's the thing I don't like about this is I feel like this is you trying to demean someone else's success because people don't trust you.
Yes. 1,000%.
So you're trying to tell us like how uncredible he is, like, or discredit, whatever the lack of credibility he has, because he's just a comedian. What I like about Russell Brand is he just reads shit. And I can think what I want about it. Like, I can feel like he's an over hippie guy. I can do all this. But I really feel like she has an agenda here. And I feel like media has an agenda. And all of a sudden, we're just supposed to care so much about Ukraine and this and that. And like, not that I want people to get bombed or this and whatever, but like, we fucking invaded Iraq.
Yeah.
You remember that? And now Fox News is saying, I think anytime, I saw a lady on Fox News, she said this, she said, I think anytime you invade someone's sovereign territory, it is a war crime. I was like,
And
except for when we do it. And so I don't know if I don't think Russell Brand is so smart. I don't think this, I just like this, is I just feel like it's kind of a grassroots regular person discussion. And if he can't have that discussion, just because he has a lot of followers, I give her that, is like, he does have influence. Rogan has influence. But like, are you going to criticize just someone who reads the news? Be like, oh, this is the liberal elitist attitude that people don't like, and this is why people gravitate to like people like Trump and this and these, like, or whatever.
Yes.
Is because you dismiss us all as morons.
Yeah,
and you don't think that it's if to make a football analogy on this is like, oh, the people on the C3 Panthers podcast couldn't know anything about football. Oh my God. They're just a podcast.
Well,
I can tell you this. Y'all are a fucking bunch of idiots. You went and traded for Sam Darnold.
If you actually listen to Russell Brand's show, he always opens it up with, how are you, you lovely 5 million awakening souls? And he's like, he tries to present both sides of the story. And see, a lot of the times the point of view that the mainstream corporate media is giving you, like, they are pointing your vision in one direction, so that
one direction only. Get the shot. How about this? Is at the end of the day, we're a year later or whatever, and Kyrie Irving doesn't look like an idiot.
No.
How about that? Is that not fucking crazy? What I'm trying to say is this. You're right. Pointing them in one single direction is just listen to us. Just listen.
Do as you're told. Believe what we tell you to believe. We're the trusted resources. Don't listen to these crazy people.
So the only reason I don't like Joe Rogan is because of them M-bombs he uses.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's the reason I don't like him. I don't like him because he interviewed weird people. Like, that's like, so Russell Brand, the reason I don't like you is because you got that weird. That's it. Other than that, I like you, Russell Brand, and you crazy dude. And on top of that, lady, shut up. YouTube, you have to use the algorithm. You have to use the algorithm. You have to make your titles like that. You have to, like, that's just the way it is. And don't tell me you don't do it on CNN as well, or the Independent, or whatever website it's the Independent. Maybe that's why you're dying.
I feel like they're real journalists, and that everyone who does something different is just like an attempt at what they're doing. Yeah,
I don't even dislike journalists. Like, I don't even think that there's this crazy thing. I just think like this is what you're upset with Russell Brand. Out of all the fucking shit in the world, that's what you're upset with. So shut
The
up.
hill you're dying on, as Cody would say.
Son. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast. 3 hours, 24 minutes in. 118 people still watching. We had a great show tonight. A lot to talk about. And I tell you this, the excitement, the anger, all of that is only going to intensify in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome back. We'll do some beat checks. We'll do Cody and I, well, all of us, we're going to be pounding out. What is going on in the Super Civil Servants podcast, Greg?
We are actually taking a break this Friday, but normally every Friday live 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we talk about television shows, movies, all that good stuff. But I actually have a con to go to with my daughter this weekend, so we're going to be taking a break this Friday.
Nice. All right. What are you watching right now?
I'm watching Picard. It's a pretty good show. And then, oddly enough, something this night wouldn't even talk about on my show. Have y'all ever seen Letterkenny?
Mm-mm.
It's an insanely stupid show, but I can't stop watching it.
It's one of those shows. I don't get it. Like, it is one of the. It's basically off of based around a rural Canadian community. That's Canadian.
Canadian TV shows are beautiful, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh gosh, dude. And it's just like it's. I'm trying to think of the right way to put it, but they talk in such a way that, like, I think Americans wish they could talk.
Yeah. So. It's filmed really well too, because like that there's no, you can pick up at any time in this. The sitcom, it apparently went on for 10 seasons, and I looked up on IMDb. It's an 8.8. It was going to be one of my guilty pleasure shows because I thought this is. So
and what's it called? One more time. What's the name of it?
Letterkenny.
Letterkenny.
I think it's on Hulu. Yeah.
Is it a Canadian show?
Yeah. It's from Crave TV.
All right. My buddy loves Canadian stuff. Where was that? What's the one about the hotel we all watch? Schitt's Creek. That's a Canadian show. Show too. But there is this one he's been telling me to watch, and I have not done it yet. But just from the name alone, I feel like we have to all watch it. Little Mosque on the Prairie. And it's about this mosque in like some random like country Canadian town, like some like, you know, and it's just it's a stupid, silly comedy. And one other thing I want to put off of that, I just saw it on Netflix. I think it's called Barbarians, and it is a Norwegian show, but they don't have the dub. It's dubbed, and it looks all right. But have you seen, like, I'm watching The Last Kingdom right now. I like stuff like this, like the Vikings and stuff. But this one is a spoof Barbarians, where like they're like crazy barbarians and like they do this stuff, and like it's just a spoof on being a Viking. It looked fantastic. So interested in that.
Hey, you should check out. You like The Boys, right? The television show.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that. Is that cartoon one worth watching?
It is. It's like 8 11-minute clips. It's not even really that big, but it's like 8 different artists, 8 different storytellers. It's really well done. Like if you like Star Wars Visions on Disney Plus, where they do the same kind of thing, you'll like this.
All right, CK, where can they find you?
You can find me everywhere. Code Dizzle Allen. You want to watch me stream some Escape from Tarkov, you can find me on Facebook Gaming at Code Dizzle Allen. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all those locations, and just hanging out.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys being on the show. Cody, where can they find you when we're not streaming on this mug every day?
Yeah, so I'm hoping you'll be able to find me right here tomorrow doing a live stream saying Deshaun Watson is a Carolina Panther. But you can always find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CodyLac. You can find all my written content at drafttech.com, where I am the analyst for the Carolina Panthers. And I invite everyone to come on the show and be a part of the Friday free-for-all every Friday at 7 p.m. It's your show to be a part of. We have a great time every single Friday, especially this Friday, man. I have a feeling it's going to be one of our bigger Friday shows ever. So tune in. Be there.
I want to thank all the callers tonight, the 104 people as I speak right now that are watching this show 3 hours and 30 minutes in. To think about this, we're in our 10th season. At one point, I was worried when we launched the cat call segment that we weren't going to be able to get calls. And to have a segment where people, and like we were planting calls, I was like asking my friends to call like in and, you know, trying to get this segment going. The idea that I've got over 200 people that wanted to hang out and talk with the Carolina Panthers tonight live, 108 still hanging out as I talk about the little mosque on the prairie or whatever else I want to talk about in these waning moments of the show. Big lift up to me. And when I see the successes of other channels out there, sometimes again, I'm like, man, we grind. I want more. But I got to take this as a fucking win right here, bro. As a W, I got a lot of Panther brethren.
And we're not done growing, man. We are not done
you,
growing. This isn't even our final form, man. So hit the like,
All
hit
right.
the subscribe, man. Be a part of this C3 community we've got going on.
Take us out of here, brother.
C3 Panther Nation. Let's manifest this together, y'all. Put some 4s in the chat before we go. I'm hoping to be seeing you tomorrow. Until next time, Panther Nation, keep pounding.
Keep